Echoed choice. Have you ever made a choice and felt a quiet tug afterward, as if something just nudged you toward that decision before you even knew why? Imagine standing at a crossroads, heart racing, unsure which path to take. You pause, then, almost without thinking, you step left. Later, you glimpse a memory of yourself, calm, confident, gently pushing you in that direction. It feels like your future self reached back in time to guide you. Before we dive in, I'd love to know, have you ever chosen something and only afterward realized it was exactly what you needed? Share where you are right now and what choice you made. And let's find comfort in our shared curiosity. Picture this. You wake up uncertain whether to study for tomorrow's test or take a walk in the fresh morning air. Something inside you quietly insists on the walk. You follow that whisper, breathe the cool air, and later, when you sit down to study, your mind is clearer and sharper than ever. You realize the break was exactly what your brain needed. It was your future self, rested, focused, nudging you to recharge before the books. In everyday life, these little echoes happen more often than we notice. Maybe you hesitate to send a text, then suddenly feel sure and hit send. That message leads to a conversation that brightens your entire day. Or you're unsure whether to speak up in a meeting, then a gentle inner push gives you the courage, and your idea becomes the turning point for the whole team. It feels mysterious, but it's your own mind, threading advice from tomorrow back into today. This paradox touches something deep in our beliefs about time and self. We think of ourselves as moving forward, moment by moment. But what if part of us is already living tomorrow, then whispering guidance back through the hours? It suggests that we are not just passengers of time. We are, in a sense, collaborators, our future self helping our present self, in a quiet loop of care. In relationships, too, we can feel echoes of choice. You worry over how to comfort a friend. You finally say the simple words, "I'm here for you," and later realize that those exact words were what you needed to hear yourself when you faced your own challenge. Your future self, stronger and more at peace, lent you the kindness you longed for. Even language hints at this. We talk about gut feelings or intuition, that sense of knowing before understanding. It's an echo of choice, a soft signal from inside, guiding us. And in mental health, learning to trust these whispers can bring calm. Anxiety wants us to doubt every decision. But if we learn to hear our inner echo, to trust that quiet nudge, we find a gentle compass pointing us forward. Technology mirrors the idea too. Predictive text suggests words before we finish typing. Algorithms recommend songs we haven't asked for yet, but soon love. It's not magic. It's pattern recognition. Yet it feels like a small echo from our future tastes, slipping suggestions back into our present. So next time you feel that gentle push, whether to pause, to speak, to rest, or to leap, remember it might be your future self, reaching out with wisdom earned in the hours ahead. Listen, pause, trust that whisper. If this idea spoke to you, please like this video. Share in the comments a moment when you felt nudged by something you couldn't explain. And if you enjoy exploring these calm, mysterious corners of time with me, subscribe and ring the bell. Let's keep unraveling these gentle paradoxes together. Sweet dreams, and may your future self always guide you home. Invisible thread. Have you ever thought about someone completely random, maybe an old friend or even a stranger you once met, and then, somehow, you bump into them the very same day? It feels like the universe dropped a tiny hint, quietly pulling two lives closer without either person noticing. A random thought, a passing memory, a strange feeling, and somewhere across town, another person makes a move that brings your paths together. It's almost as if an invisible thread stretches between you, guiding each small step. Before we drift deeper into this idea, I would love to hear your story. Have you ever experienced something like this? Maybe a surprising meeting, a sudden reconnection, or a feeling that someone was thinking of you? Share your story and your city in the comments. Let's weave our own invisible thread together here. Imagine you are sitting in a cafe, sipping your tea, scrolling through your messages. Suddenly, a name pops into your head. You haven't spoken to them in years. You wonder if they're doing okay. At the same time, just a few streets away, that very person decides to visit the same cafe. Perhaps because they suddenly missed the comfort of a warm drink. They walk in. You look up. Your eyes meet. It feels impossible, but there you both are, standing exactly where you needed to be, as if pulled by something neither of you could see. These tiny moments happen all the time, hidden inside the busy noise of our lives. You lose your keys and leave home a few minutes later than planned, only to run into someone you hadn't seen for months. You change your mind about which bus to take and end up sitting next to a stranger who shares a story you needed to hear. It feels random. It feels small. But in that randomness, there's a strange, beautiful order, an invisible thread weaving people together in ways they rarely notice. Sometimes it's even deeper. A simple kind word to a stranger on a tough day can ripple through their life, helping them feel seen and valued when they need it most. You might never know the difference you made, but somewhere out there, someone is carrying a little bit of you forward. A smile, a moment of kindness, a tiny memory tucked away in their heart. This invisible thread touches our beliefs too. Many cultures talk about destiny, fate, or soul connections, an idea that people who are meant to meet will always find their way to each other, no matter how tangled the journey looks. Maybe it's not fate in a grand, loud way. Maybe it's soft and patient, built out of small choices, missed buses, sudden thoughts, and quiet instincts. Maybe it's less about grand plans and more about quiet guidance, nudging us closer when we need it most. Language reflects it too. We say things like, "It's a small world," or "We're on the same wavelength" when these moments happen. Deep down, we feel that unseen connections are real, even if we can't measure them, even if we can't explain them fully. Our words try to catch the feeling, but the feeling itself stays mysterious, like a hidden river beneath our daily lives. In relationships, this thread can be the start of something life-changing. Maybe you and your best friend met because you both decided to take the same random class at the last moment. Maybe you found love because a friend insisted you come to a party you didn't even feel like attending. Small events, invisible choices, a whisper of connection pulling you closer, even before you knew why. And in mental health, the idea of invisible threads can be comforting. On lonely days, it's easy to feel like we are drifting alone. But maybe, just maybe, there are unseen bonds already moving, shaping quiet paths toward future hugs, future laughter, future understanding. Maybe someone is already thinking of you without knowing it, already moving toward you, already holding space for your future meeting. In technology, too, invisible threads show up. The way an algorithm suggests a book or video that feels like it was made just for you. It's not magic. It's patterns, calculations. But it hints at how invisible connections can guide what we experience. It reminds us that even behind the cold face of a machine, there is a map of relationships, choices, and histories quietly touching each other. In bigger philosophical ideas, invisible threads raise deep questions. Are we ever truly separate? Or are we always part of a giant, invisible web, touching and being touched by countless others through every choice we make? If one small decision can lead to meeting a future friend or helping a stranger heal, how much beauty might already be moving through our everyday lives without us even seeing it? Imagine if, every time you held a door for someone, smiled at a neighbor, sent a kind text, or even simply thought of someone with care, you were strengthening these threads, making them shimmer a little brighter. Even if you don't see the results right away, or ever, the thread is still there, carrying the warmth of your small action forward into the world. So, the next time a random thought pops into your mind, don't push it away. Let yourself wonder, could it be the beginning of a hidden story? Could it be that somewhere, somehow, someone is thinking of you too? Could it be that invisible threads are weaving something beautiful for both of you, right now, quietly, patiently? If this thought comforts you, or even just stirs a little wonder in your heart, please like this video, Share a story where you felt an invisible thread tug you towards someone or something. And if you love exploring the soft, hidden mysteries of life with me, subscribe and join our community. Let's keep following the quiet threads that bring us together. Sleep well, and know, even when you feel alone, you are already connected in ways you can't yet see. Vanishing Act. Have you ever looked right at something, reached for it, and it just wasn't there? Your phone, your keys, your wallet. You stare at the spot where you swear it should be. You check again, moving things around, feeling a little confused. Then, moments later, when you look again, there it is, sitting exactly where you had looked before. Like it was playing a quiet game of hide and seek with your mind. Before we dive deeper, I want to hear from you. Have you ever had this happen? Maybe you lost something important, turned the whole room upside down, and then somehow it reappeared in plain sight. Share your story and your city in the comments below. Let's see how many invisible players are out there, moving things when we're not looking. Imagine waking up late for work. You grab your bag, rush toward the door, and suddenly, your keys are missing. You are sure you left them on the table. You check once, twice, 3 times. Nothing. Your heart races. You're about to call in late when, on the 4th check, they're sitting right there, shining under the morning light. It feels like time has bent a little, like reality slipped when you weren't watching. It sounds small. It sounds silly, but it shakes something deep inside. How can something be there, then not be, and then be again? How can we trust what we see if even small things can vanish for no clear reason? It's almost like reality has soft spots, places where rules relax, and things go missing for a breath or two. This strange experience pops up everywhere. You check your phone, but it's not where you left it. You blame yourself. Maybe you're tired, maybe you're stressed, but then it shows up exactly where you first looked. No explanation, no trick, just a soft reminder that sometimes even the solid world feels thin and playful. Psychologists call this inattentional blindness, a fancy term for missing something that's right in front of you because your brain is distracted. And yes, sometimes it is just our mind slipping. We think we're paying attention, but we're really running on autopilot. Our eyes see, but our mind is somewhere else, missing the details. But sometimes it feels bigger than that. Sometimes it feels like the object itself flickered away, like it chose to hide, only to come back when we had given up. Some people believe these moments hint at parallel worlds brushing close together. Maybe for a second, your phone slipped into another layer of reality, one just thin enough to bleed back into ours. Maybe the universe, like a sleepy cat, twitches and stirs without meaning to, moving small things in its dreams. Stories like this touch on our deepest questions about what's real. Can something be 2 places at once? Can something be nowhere at all? If small things can blink in and out, what does that say about bigger things? About time? About memory? About our own sense of being? In relationships, this feeling shows up too. You lose track of a friend for months, maybe even years. You think the bond is gone. But then, one small moment, a message, a random encounter, brings it all back like it never left. The friendship was never truly missing, it was just sleeping, tucked away somewhere beyond reach until the right moment woke it up. In mental health, the Vanishing Act teaches patience. When we feel lost to ourselves, to others, to our dreams, it's easy to think those parts of us are gone forever. But maybe they're just waiting quietly, ready to return when we're ready to see them again. Healing, hope, joy, they can vanish, but they can also reappear when we need them most, often without warning. In technology, strange glitches remind us of the Vanishing Act too. Files disappear from a computer only to return after a restart. Messages fail to send, then show up hours later. It's not magic, it's systems glitching, but it echoes the feeling that even in our structured world, not everything is as fixed or solid as we want to believe. In bigger ideas, the Vanishing Act touches belief itself. Across cultures, people tell stories about trickster spirits, mischievous energies that move objects, hide things, and play with human minds. Whether you believe in spirits or not, the stories point to the same truth. Sometimes life doesn't follow clear rules. Sometimes it moves sideways, gently teasing us out of our need for control. Maybe that's what these moments are for. Not to scare us, not to frustrate us, but to remind us that reality isn't a locked box. It's more like a soft, breathing fabric, sometimes tugging, sometimes folding, sometimes playing little games with those who are paying close enough attention to notice. The next time something vanishes in your hands, pause, smile, take a breath. Maybe it's just your mind, busy and tired. But maybe, just maybe, it's a tiny reminder that you live in a world still full of mystery, a world that still has surprises tucked into its pockets, a world where not everything is meant to be explained away. If you've ever felt that strange flicker, the quick slip of the known into the unknown, please like this video, share your story in the comments. Was it your keys, your phone, a favorite book? Let's build a little collection of vanishing acts together. And if you enjoy wandering through the softer edges of reality with me, subscribe for more gentle mysteries. Tonight, as you drift into sleep, remember, not everything you lose is truly gone. Some things are simply waiting for the right moment to return. Shadow bounce. Have you ever glanced at your shadow on a bright wall and noticed it move a fraction of a second after you did? Your body shifts, and your silhouette seems to hesitate, as if it's caught in a gentle time lag. It's a small, almost playful glitch in everyday life, a delayed echo of yourself dancing on sunlit plaster. Before we explore this curious moment, I'd love to know, have you ever seen your shadow lag behind you? Where were you? Perhaps a park, a sidewalk, or your own backyard? Share your location in the comments and let's find others who have watched their own silhouette come alive just a heartbeat later. Picture a quiet afternoon stroll. The sun is low, casting long shapes on the pavement. You lift your foot to step forward, and your shadow remains still for a flicker, then follows. It's subtle. You might think you imagined it, but there it is again. You pause, the shadow holds, then it bounces after you. It feels like time itself took a breath before letting your silhouette catch up. In that moment, something shifts inside you. You realize your body and its dark twin aren't perfectly joined. They move almost independently, reminding you that even the simplest things, light, shape, time, have soft edges and small surprises. What if your shadow has a life of its own? A gentle echo, living just out of sync with you. We see this in other small ways too. Think of your reflection in water when a ripple passes. Your image wavers, then snaps back into place. Or when you watch your face in a video call and notice the tiniest delay between your words and your lips. These delays remind us that reality isn't one seamless flow. It's made of moments, each with its own pace, some ahead, some behind. In relationships, we feel our own shadow bounce when we react just after someone else's mood shifts. A friend frowns for a second, and we hesitate before offering comfort. Our hearts lag just enough to remind us we're not perfectly in sync. Then, we catch up. We reach out, we smile, we reconnect. That small pause can be the space where empathy grows. This paradox whispers to deeper truths. It shows us that life isn't always immediate. Sometimes understanding, healing, or connection arrives after a moment's delay. We need that pause to process, to feel, to prepare our response. Our minds and emotions bounce gently behind our experiences until they align. Even in language we see this echo. We speak a word, then in the next breath we grasp its meaning. The sound comes first, the comprehension follows. In that gap, our mind catches up, forming thoughts from echoes of sound. It's a tiny delay, but it's where understanding lives. On a larger scale, science shows us time isn't uniform. Clocks in different places tick at slightly different rates. Light itself takes time to travel. When we look at stars, we see them as they were years ago. Their light bounces across space and time before reaching us. Our very gaze is a shadow bounce. What we see always follows what happened. In mental health, the idea of a shadow bounce can bring comfort. When emotions overwhelm us, our reactions may lag. We feel upset, then a moment later, we understand why. That pause is not a weakness. It's the echo of our true self catching up, bringing insight and calm after the initial wave. Even artificial intelligence works this way. A camera captures an image, sends data, and the screen shows you your face a fraction later. That slight lag is the machine's shadow bounce. It reminds us that every process, no matter how fast, has its own rhythm. So next time you see your shadow hold still for a heartbeat, smile at the gentle glitch. It's a quiet gift, a reminder that life unfolds in layers, that every action has a soft echo, and that we live in the space between movement and response. That small pause is where awareness grows. If you've ever watched your shadow dance behind you, please like this video. Tell us in the comments where you saw it and how it felt. If you enjoy exploring these calm, mysterious moments, subscribe and join our journey. Let's celebrate the gentle echoes that make our world feel alive. Sleep well, and may your dreams move in perfect harmony, shadow and all. Phantom signal. Have you ever felt your phone buzz in your pocket only to pull it out and find nothing? No message, no call, no alert, just silence. For a moment you wonder, was it real? Was it your imagination? Or maybe, just maybe, it was something else. A ripple from a message not yet sent. A whisper from the future trying to reach you ahead of time. Have you ever experienced a phantom buzz or ring? Maybe while waiting for important news or thinking about someone you miss? Tell us in the comments where you were when it happened. Let's find out how many of us have felt the future tapping gently on our shoulder. Imagine this. You are walking down a quiet street, the late afternoon sun warm on your skin. Out of nowhere, you feel it. A soft vibration against your leg. Instinctively, you reach for your phone. Your heart beats a little faster. Maybe it's someone special. Maybe it's something urgent. But when you check, there's nothing. The screen is dark. Your notification bar is empty. For a second you stand, still, feeling slightly out of place, like you missed something invisible that had tried to reach you. This strange experience, often called a phantom signal, happens to many people. It's common enough to feel normal, but mysterious enough to feel magical when it happens. Some explain it as muscle memory or nerves twitching by mistake. But some moments feel too perfect to be random. Sometimes you feel the buzz right before a real message arrives, or just as you think about someone important. It's like a small invisible thread ties you to the future, and for a brief second, you tug on it before it fully arrives. In everyday life, we experience these soft echoes all the time. Think of the feeling you get before your friend calls. And seconds later, your phone actually rings. Or the way you suddenly think about an old friend, and by the end of the day, you receive a text from them. It feels like your mind reached out ahead of the moment, just slightly, as if sensing a vibration that hadn't fully landed yet. This phantom signal is more than a funny quirk. It touches deep human mysteries. It reminds us that time might not be as strict as we think. Maybe past, present, and future are not separate rooms we walk through, but layers stacked on top of each other, with soft spots where light leaks through. In relationships, these soft taps from tomorrow create beautiful moments. Think about the last time you felt uneasy or excited for no reason and later realized someone close to you was thinking of you. Or when you woke up with a name in your mind only to hear from that person later in the day. Our emotions, our connections might ripple across time just like signals across a wire. Even in the world of science, we know that light and sound travel with delay. A star you see in the night sky might have exploded long ago. Its light is just reaching you now, like a message from the past. If the past can still touch us through the stars, maybe the future can too, through these phantom signals. In the way we learn and make decisions, these tiny future nudges can also appear. Sometimes you choose a different path without knowing why, and later you realize it was the best decision you could have made. It's as if a future version of you whispered across time, guiding you with a small tug you couldn't fully hear but somehow felt. In mental health, trusting these small signals can sometimes help us reconnect with our instincts. In a noisy, busy world, we often ignore the soft feelings that try to guide us. But moments like the phantom signal remind us that not everything important arrives loudly. Some truths come as a whisper. Some messages are felt before they are spoken. Even artificial intelligence, for all its speed and power, still depends on tiny delays. Every click, every buzz, every notification you get online is a result of small signals traveling invisible paths. A tiny moment where your request moves through wires and systems before reaching your screen. Even machines experience the faint gaps between action and result, echoing our own experiences of soft future tugs. So the next time you feel your phone vibrate and find nothing there, don't brush it off too quickly. Pause. Smile. Maybe you just brushed against tomorrow's thread. Maybe you caught the faint outline of a message still on its way to you. If you have ever felt a phantom buzz or a mysterious notification like this video, leave a comment sharing your story. Who were you thinking about? Where were you? Was it a special day? Your story might help someone else realize they aren't alone in feeling these gentle touches from beyond the present. And if you love exploring these calm and curious parts of life, subscribe and join our journey into the beautiful mysteries that surround us every day. Sleep peacefully tonight, knowing that even when the world is silent, soft echoes from the future might still be reaching out to you. Mirror drift. Have you ever caught a glimpse of yourself in a shop window, but it wasn't quite you? Maybe just for a second you saw something different, someone older, someone with wiser eyes, deeper lines, a posture shaped by years you haven't lived yet. Then you blinked, and it was gone. Only your familiar reflection staring back, leaving you standing there, wondering if you had just seen a version of yourself from the future, passing by like a quiet ghost. If something like this has ever happened to you, share where it was. A busy street? A quiet corner store? Let's see how many of us have brushed against these strange, silent moments. Imagine it. You're walking home after a long day. The air is cool. Maybe you're lost in thought, planning tomorrow or replaying a conversation from earlier. Then, in the glass of a passing shop, you catch sight of yourself, but something about the face looking back feels older. Maybe it's just the lighting. Maybe it's just your imagination. But for that small heartbeat of time, it feels real. It feels personal, like the future paused to wave hello. Most people would shrug it off. We are used to reflections playing tricks on us. Different angles, lighting, fatigue, they all change how we look. But sometimes the feeling goes deeper. It's not just a trick of the eye, it feels like a small slip in time, a thin veil lifting between who you are today and who you might become. In everyday life, moments like these slip by quietly. You might wake up and for a second not recognize yourself in the bathroom mirror. Or maybe after a long flight, you see your reflection in the airport glass, looking a little more worn than you expected. We usually explain it away. We were tired. We were stressed. We were emotional. But what if these moments are tiny reminders that time is not a straight line? Think about it. Time, to us, feels solid. Past behind us. Future ahead. But some ideas in science suggest time might bend, might fold in on itself. What if, in rare, tender moments, the fabric of now grows thin, and we catch a soft glimpse of what is waiting ahead? In relationships, moments like these can be powerful. Maybe you see yourself older and suddenly think of all the people you'll meet, all the love you'll share. Or maybe you think about the goodbyes you haven't said yet. Reflections like this can make you cherish the people you have today a little more, because you realize how precious the passing years will be. In our personal dreams and goals, a glimpse of an older self can feel like a secret message. Maybe it's a reminder that you're strong enough to reach your dreams, even if the path is long. Maybe it's a quiet warning to take better care of yourself. Maybe it's just a comfort that no matter how many changes life brings, some part of you stays steady. This kind of experience even touches bigger ideas. In mental health, for example, seeing yourself in new ways whether older, stronger, or even gentler, can shift how you treat yourself today. It can make you more patient with your mistakes, more forgiving. It can soften the rough edges we sometimes carry with us. Maybe when you glimpse your future face, it's not about wrinkles or gray hair. It's about seeing the story you're still writing, one small choice at a time. In the world of AI and technology, reflections have become even stranger. Filters and screens now show us younger versions of ourselves, older ones, cartoon versions, even completely new faces. In a way, technology is letting us play with time in mirrors we create. Yet nothing matches that real-world, heart-tugging moment when you unexpectedly meet your own future eyes, even if only for a breath. The mystery of the mirror drift invites us to slow down, to notice, to honor the fact that life is not just about rushing forward. Sometimes the future leans back and brushes us lightly on the shoulder, reminding us that the story of who we are is still unfolding, still full of surprises. If you've ever had a strange reflection moment, one that made you pause, one that made you think, leave a comment and share it. Were you happy, sad, calm, scared? Hearing each other's stories might remind us all that we're moving through time together, each of us weaving between who we are and who we are becoming. If this quiet mystery touched you tonight, like this video. Subscribe to join a community that believes even the softest moments are worth noticing. Every reflection, every blink, every small drift in time is part of the incredible story you are still living. As you drift into sleep tonight, know that somewhere, out there, an older, wiser version of you is waiting patiently, smiling at how far you have already come. Silent forecast. Have you ever felt a drop of rain brush your skin even though the sky above was still blue and clear? Maybe there were no clouds in sight, no wind, no warning. Just a soft, cool touch on your arm, so real you couldn't ignore it. Then, a little later, the dark clouds rolled in and the rain began. As if your body had somehow known before the sky did, a silent forecast whispered just to you. If you've ever felt something like this, share your story. Were you out walking, standing by a window, or maybe sitting quietly in a park? Let's see how many of us have caught these hidden signals from the world around us. It's such a small thing, a feeling on your skin, easy to overlook, easy to dismiss. But sometimes it feels bigger, more personal. A secret message just for you, carried on the tiniest ripple of air. Scientists tell us the body can pick up on subtle changes long before our conscious mind notices. A shift in humidity, a drop in pressure, a change in the way the air smells or moves. But when it happens, it feels magical. It feels like being in two moments at once, the now and the soon-to-be. Think about it. Maybe you were getting ready to leave the house and paused for just a second. Something felt different. You grabbed an umbrella without knowing why, or you hurried your steps, sensing a shift in the air. Later, when the skies opened up, you realized you had listened to something deeper than logic, something ancient. In everyday life, we trust weather apps, forecasts, and alerts. But there's still a part of us that remembers how to listen with our bodies. Farmers for centuries have felt the coming of a storm in their bones. Sailors smelled the rain hours before it arrived. Animals still do it every day. Birds flying lower, dogs becoming restless, cows lying down before rain. Maybe, somewhere deep inside, we are still connected to those old instincts. We just forget to notice. This silent forecast shows up in more ways than weather. Sometimes you get a feeling about a person, a quick, quiet tug inside telling you to pay attention. Sometimes you walk into a room and just know something is about to happen. It's the same sense. A soft alert from the world, letting you know that change is near. In relationships, these whispers can be powerful. You sense when someone you love is upset before they say a word. You feel when a friend needs you without needing to ask. It's like invisible weather inside the heart, carrying signals we can only feel if we slow down and listen. This idea even touches the bigger questions of life. Are we really separate? From nature? From each other? Or are we part of one giant breathing system where the tiniest changes ripple across everything, like wind across a pond? Maybe our bodies are like antennas, tuned to frequencies we barely understand. Maybe our skin, our hearts, our senses know things before our minds catch up. Mental health also connects here. Sometimes, anxiety or unease feels like a coming storm inside us. Learning to listen to the body's early signals can help us prepare, breathe, and ground ourselves, like pulling out an emotional umbrella before the rain even begins. And in the world of technology, where alerts and alarms rule our attention, these quiet, natural forecasts are rare gifts. They remind us that not every warning has to be shouted. Some just whisper across the skin, asking for a moment of stillness and trust. The silent forecast invites us to slow down and tune in, to trust that small voice inside. Not every feeling will lead to rain, just like not every cloudy sky brings a storm. But listening itself is powerful. It reminds us that we are not just watchers of the world, we are part of it, woven into its changes, breathing in its rhythms, touched by its quiet hands. If you've ever felt a whisper of weather before it arrived, share where you were and what it felt like. Let's build a space where these soft moments are not brushed aside but honored for what they are, signs that we are still deeply connected to the living world around us. If this story made you feel seen, like this video, subscribe to join a community that believes even the smallest feelings matter. Together, we can learn to listen more closely, not just to the storms outside, but to the quiet forecasts moving through our own hearts. Tonight, as you drift toward sleep, imagine the invisible currents brushing against you, gentle, unseen, but real. Life is full of messages waiting to be heard, if only we are still enough to listen. Time Mirage. Have you ever been stuck in rush hour traffic, expecting the usual endless red lights and slow crawling cars, only to find that every light turns green just as you reach it? It feels almost too perfect, almost impossible. For a few minutes, the world seems to bend just for you. Time feels softer, stretched out, like a hidden hand is clearing your path. It's like stepping into a small private miracle that no one else even notices. If you've ever had a moment like this, I'd love to hear your story. Were you racing to an important meeting, heading home after a long day? Or maybe you were just driving without any hurry, and time itself seemed to slow down just for you. Moments like these are easy to miss if we're not paying attention. Most days, life moves fast, and we get caught up in frustration, the cars, the waiting, the noise. But when something flips, even for a second, and things move effortlessly in your favor, it feels almost magical. You feel seen by the universe, like a silent nod is being offered, reminding you that not everything has to be hard. It's not just traffic lights where we feel this strange time mirage. Think about days when everything clicks into place. You wake up feeling rested. Your coffee tastes better. You find the perfect parking spot right in front of your building. Every small thing seems designed to make your day a little easier. It's not loud, it's not dramatic, it's gentle, and somehow even more powerful because of that. Maybe it's luck. Maybe it's timing. Or maybe there's something deeper happening, something that connects us to the hidden rhythms of the world. Maybe time isn't as rigid as we think. Maybe it can flex and bend a little, just enough for small wonders to slip through. Science tells us that our perception of time can change depending on our emotions. When we are calm and content, time feels slower. When we are stressed, it races by. But what if time itself sometimes shifts, nudging us toward a different experience? Not because we earned it, not because we planned it, just because we happen to be in the right place at the right moment. This idea touches something very deep inside us. The belief that life isn't just random noise but has hidden patterns and gentle alignments we can sometimes feel but not explain. It's like noticing the way sunlight falls perfectly across your face at a certain hour, or feeling a soft breeze arrive just as you needed a reminder to breathe. In relationships, the time mirage can feel even more real. You meet someone at the exact moment you need them most. A friend calls just when you are feeling lost. A small conversation changes the direction of your whole day. These aren't loud flashing signs. They're quiet green lights, opening one after another, leading you down a path you didn't even know you needed. Mental health can sometimes cloud or clear our experience of time, too. When we are anxious, every second feels heavy. When we are relaxed, moments stretch like soft fabric. Learning to notice these shifts can be a way of grounding ourselves, a way of realizing that not every hard moment lasts forever. Just like traffic clears and green lights come, ease can return when we least expect it. Even technology tries to capture this feeling. Algorithms offer us songs we didn't know we needed. A video appears just when its message fits perfectly into our day. It's like the invisible flow of time guiding little pieces of life toward us, if only we are open enough to notice. If you've ever felt time slow down just for you, or felt like the world opened a path when you most needed it, share where you were. What were you thinking? How did it feel? These moments might be rare, but when we share them, they remind us we're not alone. Behind the everyday noise, something softer and kinder might be at work. And if you enjoy finding magic in small moments like these, like this video and subscribe. Together, let's build a space where we honor these gentle miracles, where we learn to look for them not with wide-eyed wonder, but with quiet trust. Tonight, as you close your eyes and drift into sleep, think about the last time life gave you a green light when you expected a red. It doesn't have to make sense. It doesn't have to be explained. Sometimes it's enough to simply feel the flow, to say thank you, and to ride it gently forward. Hidden trigger. Have you ever been walking down the street or standing quietly in a store when suddenly a smell drifts by, and for a moment you're not in the present anymore? In a flash, you are 5 years old again, sitting in your grandmother's kitchen or playing outside on a warm summer evening. Nothing around you has changed, but inside, everything shifts. The years fall away. The weight of the present lifts. For a breath or two, you are somewhere else entirely. If you've ever felt something like this, you're not alone. I would love to know, has a scent ever unlocked a memory you thought was lost forever? Maybe it was the smell of old books, fresh-cut grass, a certain kind of soap, or a dish you haven't eaten in decades. Feel free to share your story in the comments if you feel comfortable. It's beautiful how these small moments can connect us across time and even across the world. What's so fascinating about this hidden trigger is how deeply it works without any warning. You might go years without thinking about a certain day or a certain person, and then, just because of a passing smell, it's all right there again. Every detail, every color, even the emotion you felt back then, can come flooding back so strongly that you almost feel like you could step right back into that old life. One simple example might be walking past a bakery on a cold morning. You weren't even thinking about your childhood. Maybe you were worrying about work, or your phone was buzzing with notifications. But then the scent of warm bread and sugar wraps around you, and suddenly you are 8 years old again, holding your mother's hand as she buys pastries after school. The memory is so sharp and so real it almost aches. It's not just positive memories either. Sometimes a smell can unlock something harder, a memory of a hospital visit, a rainy goodbye, or a bittersweet ending. But even then, there is something powerful about how our senses work behind the scenes, holding pieces of our story safe, even when we think we have forgotten. This hidden trigger shows us something important. The past is never really gone. It lives inside us in ways we can't always see. Our brains, in their quiet wisdom, store these moments not just as words or pictures, but as feelings, scents, sounds. A simple whiff of perfume or the smell of rain on dry pavement can pull a hidden door open, one we didn't even know was there. This also ties into something bigger about human memory and identity. We often think of memories as solid, like books lined up on a shelf, but they are much more alive than that. They breathe, they hide, they wait for the right moment to rise. Again, smell, more than almost any other sense, has a direct line to the emotional parts of the brain. It bypasses logic and analysis. It speaks straight to the heart. In relationships, these hidden triggers can create moments of deep connection. Imagine telling someone, "That smell reminds me of my dad's workshop," or "That flower scent makes me think of when we used to visit the park every Sunday." Suddenly, you're not just talking. You're sharing a hidden part of your inner world, and they, in turn, may recognize something similar in themselves. It's amazing how often the smallest, quietest moments hold the most weight. A simple smell, a sudden memory, a feeling you didn't expect but somehow needed. It's gentle proof that we are made of layers upon layers of experiences, most of which still live inside us, quietly shaping who we are and how we see the world. Even when we think we've moved far from our past, grown up, changed, matured, these hidden triggers remind us that our younger selves are still with us, that child who laughed under the trees, that teenager who sat by the window dreaming, that person who loved, lost, hoped, and tried. They are still part of the story. And it's not just nostalgia. It's healing too. Sometimes remembering a softer moment from the past can comfort us when the present feels heavy. It can bring strength when we need to remember how far we've come, or tenderness when we need to forgive ourselves for who we once were. It's also a reminder of how much wonder there is in ordinary life. We don't have to travel far or search for big, dramatic experiences to feel deeply. Sometimes all it takes is a breath, a breeze, a smell, and the whole world shifts inside us. I wonder, have you ever noticed how certain seasons seem filled with hidden triggers? The first cold morning of winter, the first blooms of spring, the damp smell after summer rain. Each season carries invisible keys to memories waiting just beneath the surface. Sometimes, without even realizing it, we chase these scents. We bake cookies that smell like holidays, light candles that smell like home, plant gardens that smell like the places we miss. Even in technology, we see attempts to capture this magic. Scented candles are labeled with names like Ocean Memory or Mountain Lodge. Perfumes promise not just a smell, but a feeling, a story, a return. It's because deep down, we all know the truth. Our senses are our storytellers, carrying pieces of who we are in ways we can't always explain. If you've ever had a hidden trigger like this, a scent that opened a door you forgot was even there, I invite you to share it in the comments. It's comforting to know how many of us are carrying little pieces of home, tucked away in our senses, waiting for the right moment to remind us. And if you find these quiet miracles beautiful, if you enjoy exploring the gentle mysteries of everyday life, I would love for you to like this video and subscribe. This way, you'll be part of a community that sees wonder not just in big adventures, but in small, secret gifts. As you drift off to sleep tonight, imagine your own hidden triggers tucked safely away inside you. Old summers, gentle rains, warm kitchens, open fields. They are still there, waiting for you, wrapped in scents and sounds you might stumble across when you least expect it. Let that thought hold you softly as you rest. And remember, even when we grow older, the best parts of us remain, quietly waiting to be found again. Quantum memory. Have you ever woken with a memory so vivid it felt real, only to realize it never happened? You recall a childhood birthday party in perfect detail. The cake, the laughter, the faces of friends you've never met. You carry the scent of candles, the echo of music, the warmth of that day. And yet, it's pure mystery. It's as if you borrowed someone else's dream and wore it like your own. If this has ever happened to you, share it below. Where were you when the memory surfaced? At home? On a walk? Let's see how many of us carry these beautiful strangers in our minds. Imagine opening an old photo album, only to find pictures of yourself at places you never visited, mountains you never climbed, oceans you never swam. You trace your finger over the image, heart swelling with nostalgia and confusion. How can your heart remember what your life never lived? These quantum memories feel like echoes from another timeline, slipping through the cracks of reality into your mind. In everyday life, we chalk these moments up to dreams or imagination. We tell ourselves, it's just my mind playing tricks. But sometimes the detail is so sharp, the laughter so clear, You wonder if there's more to it. What if memories aren't bound by the limits of our own experience? What if, on some quiet level, our minds can tap into memories stored in the fabric of the universe, beyond our individual lives? Think about how often you dream of places you've never been. You stroll through sunlit streets in a foreign town, meet people you've never known, feel emotions that linger long after you wake. Those dreams vanish into morning light, but the feelings remain. Gentle proof that memory and experience aren't always locked to the self. In relationships, quantum memories can spark connection. You meet someone new and feel an instant bond, as if you've known them in another life. A conversation feels familiar, as though you're picking up where you left off years ago. It's more than chemistry. It's like two timelines brushing against each other, sharing moments that neither of you actually lived, yet both remember. This paradox touches deep questions of identity. Who are we if our memories can belong to other selves? If we can carry echoes of events we never lived, what truly makes you, you? Perhaps identity is not a single thread, but a tapestry woven from countless possible lives. Some we live, others we only glimpse in moments of quiet wonder. In mental health, these borrowed memories can bring comfort or confusion. A soothing memory of a peaceful place might calm anxiety, even if you never visited it in this life. A troubling memory of loss or fear might surface unbidden, leaving you unsettled. Learning to sit with these memories, to treat them as part of your inner landscape, can help you find balance. They are signals from the deeper mind, guiding you toward healing or self-discovery. Even artificial intelligence hints at quantum memory. Some AI models generate images or stories that feel uncannily familiar, scenes you've never seen, yet somehow recognize. It's as if the machine taps into patterns of collective experience, stitching together fragments from countless sources. These digital echoes mirror the way our own minds blend memories, dreams, and imagination into experiences that feel real. Next time a memory surfaces that you can't explain, cherish it. Close your eyes and let yourself feel the laughter, the breeze, the light. You're touching something vast, something that transcends your everyday life. You're glimpsing the hidden web of time, where moments from all possible lives drift like petals on a silent wind. If a quantum memory has ever touched you, please like this video and share your experience in the comments. Where were you? What did you feel? Your story might help someone else understand the beautiful mystery of their own mind. And if you love exploring these gentle puzzles of time and memory, subscribe for more quiet journeys into life's hidden wonders. As you drift into sleep tonight, remember, some memories aren't meant to belong just to one life. They wander, like dreams, across the boundaries of time, waiting for you to find them, and in finding them, to find a deeper part of yourself. Reverse vision. Have you ever woken up early, stepped outside, and seen colors in the sky that felt strangely familiar, like yesterday's sunset had quietly returned, but in reverse? Imagine soft purples rising before golds, a deep pink peeling backward into blue, as if the universe hit a rewind button while you slept. It leaves you standing there, half awake, wondering if time sometimes loops back on itself when no one is looking. Have you ever felt something like that? A strange repeat of beauty that makes you question how the world really moves? If yes, I'd love for you to share your experience in the comments. What did you see and where were you? Your story might remind someone else of a moment they had forgotten. We usually think of time as a straight road, sunrise to sunset, morning to night, always moving forward. But sometimes, nature shows us little signs that time might be more playful, more flexible than we believe. Like catching a scene not from today, but from yesterday, playing backward just for you. It makes you feel as if you've stepped out of your own timeline for a breathless second. Imagine sitting for an exam. You study all night, watch the sun go down, the sky turning rich and golden. Hours later, after a restless sleep, you wake up early, maybe even too early. You look out the window and there it is, the same colors, but folding open instead of closing down. It's familiar, yet strange. Yesterday's goodbye turned into today's hello. That kind of moment stays with you longer than the exam answers you tried to memorize. Or think of a relationship. You spend an evening with someone you love, walking outside as the sun sets. The sky burns into memory. The pink glow on their face. The way the trees look like black lace against the colors. Then, the next morning, you see the same palette, reversed, as you make coffee alone. It's almost as if the sky is gently reminding you, time carries things forward, but sometimes it returns them too in a different shape. When you notice these moments, it's natural to feel a little disoriented. You might question if your mind is playing tricks. Maybe you think, I must still be half dreaming. But what if it's real in its own way? What if memory and reality can overlap, just like the colors of the sky? This little paradox touches something deeper about belief. We are taught to believe in cause and effect, straight lines, clear beginnings and endings. But life doesn't always feel that tidy. Sometimes emotions echo back before they are fully formed. Sometimes the sky writes poetry that doesn't obey rules. Maybe belief itself is less about rigid truths and more about being willing to hold mystery without needing to solve it. Language tries to catch these moments, but it often falls short. We have words like déjà vu to explain why something feels familiar. But what about the opposite? When something new feels like a memory you just now created? Reverse vision is hard to explain with words alone. It's a feeling, a soft folding of experience that doesn't need grammar or logic to be understood. It only needs your quiet attention. Mental health, too, can be touched by this paradox. When you feel stuck in sadness or worry, it can seem like time is heavy and slow. But when you catch a moment of beauty that repeats itself, like the dawn replaying a sunset, you get a glimpse of healing. You realize that not everything moves forward by force. Some things cycle back gently, offering second chances without asking anything from you. Healing can be like that too. Not a straight climb, but a soft spiral. Even artificial intelligence hints at ideas like reverse vision. Some AI models can generate a video in reverse, showing water unspilling from a cup or trees unburning in a forest. Watching these, you feel a strange pull. The mind loves patterns, even backwards ones. Maybe that's because, deep down, we understand that time is not as strict as we pretend. We sense that memory, dreams, and reality weave together in more than one direction. If you ever find yourself standing in a moment that feels like yesterday, playing backward, pause. Take a deep breath. Let yourself enjoy it without needing to explain it. Feel the colors open up behind your eyes like a quiet gift from the universe. Have you ever experienced reverse vision yourself? Maybe during a morning walk, a late-night drive, or even looking out from an airplane window. If you have, like this video and share your story in the comments. Your memory might be the key that unlocks someone else's quiet wonder. And if you love gently exploring the beautiful puzzles of time, memory, and life, don't forget to subscribe for more soft journeys like this one. As you move through your day, remember, not everything new is truly new. Sometimes beauty returns, wearing a different face. Sometimes the sunset you loved yesterday follows you into today's sunrise, turning time itself into a soft, endless dance. Secret spiral. Have you ever noticed yourself standing at the same street corner again and again, even when you had no real reason to return? Maybe you were walking somewhere new and your feet somehow brought you back to a place that felt strangely familiar. Or maybe you were just trying to take a shortcut and realized you had looped back without meaning to. And the most curious part, each time you arrived, something small had changed. A new flower blooming in a crack in the pavement. A flyer that wasn't there before. A different song drifting from an open window. It feels almost as if the street itself is alive, showing you a new piece of itself every time you come back. Have you ever had an experience like that? A place that kept calling you back in small, quiet ways? If you have, I would love for you to share it in the comments. Tell us where it was and what you noticed. You never know. Your story might make someone else realize they've been moving in their own secret spiral without even knowing it. At first glance, walking the same street corner again and again might seem like a mistake. We are used to thinking that progress means moving forward, straight and fast. But nature doesn't always move in straight lines. Look at how vines grow, spiraling up toward the sun. Look at the way seashells curl inward, layer by layer. Even the galaxies in the sky are shaped like giant spinning spirals stretching across space. Maybe our own lives move in spirals too, not because we are lost, but because there is something important we are meant to notice. Think about a time you were studying for exams. Maybe you thought you had understood a subject perfectly, but when you came back to it later, something new became clear, something you had missed the first time. It wasn't a failure to revisit the same material. It was deepening, a growing. You didn't loop back because you forgot. You looped back because you were ready to see more. Or imagine relationships. We meet people, build connections, and sometimes drift apart. But life has a funny way of bringing certain people back to us when the time is right. Maybe a friend you lost touch with suddenly messages you. Maybe you bump into someone you were thinking about on the same old street you used to walk together. It's not an accident. It's the spiral of life, giving you another chance to see something you weren't ready to see before. When we experience a secret spiral like this, it often touches something very deep inside us. A feeling that time is not just ticking forward but folding around us in meaningful ways. It reminds us that growth isn't always about leaving things behind. Sometimes it's about returning with new eyes, seeing the same old place, but feeling completely different inside yourself. Belief plays a big role here. If we only believe in straight paths, we might get frustrated when we find ourselves circling back. We might think, I'm stuck, or I'm not making progress. But if we believe that spirals are natural, that life teaches through return, we can find peace in these loops. Every return is not a failure. It's an invitation. It's life whispering, look again. There's more here for you. Language sometimes struggles to explain this feeling. We have words like déjà vu for the sudden feeling that we've lived a moment before. But we don't have many words for the quieter experience of revisiting something real, with a heart that has changed. Maybe we need new words for this kind of soft, patient return. A journey that deepens instead of simply moving forward. Mental health, too, is touched by the secret spiral. Healing doesn't happen in a straight line. Anyone who has struggled with sadness, worry, or loss knows that some days feel better and some days feel harder, even when we are trying our best. We return to old thoughts, old memories, but each time, if we are gentle with ourselves, we find something new there. A new understanding, a new layer of forgiveness, a new piece of strength we didn't know we had. Healing is not about escaping our past. It's about moving through it, again and again, each time a little lighter. Even when we think about artificial intelligence, we see patterns of spiraling growth. AI doesn't simply learn once and move on. It loops back over its data, over its experiences, refining and growing better with each cycle. Learning isn't a straight climb. It's a spiral staircase. You go around and around, but you are also rising. So if you ever find yourself standing on the same street corner again, pause. Look around. Listen. What has changed? What has stayed the same? And what has changed inside you? Maybe you'll notice a little more beauty, a little more understanding. Maybe you'll realize that returning isn't a mistake. It's a secret part of the journey. Have you had a secret spiral moment recently? Maybe a street you kept visiting, a person you kept thinking about, a dream that kept returning? If you have, like this video and share your story in the comments. Your experience might be the very thing someone else needs to hear tonight. And if you find comfort in these gentle explorations of time, memory, and meaning, make sure to subscribe and join our soft, thoughtful community. Remember, growth isn't just moving forward. Growth is moving deeper. Life doesn't always send you racing ahead. Sometimes it leads you back to the same place, not because you're lost, but because you are ready to see the hidden treasure waiting there. The secret spiral is not a mistake. It's an invisible map drawn by your own heart. Trust it. Follow it. Let it lead you to new wonders hiding in places you thought you already knew. Fractal moment. Imagine standing outside on a quiet day, watching the rain fall. One small drop hits a puddle near your feet. You notice something strange. The ripples it makes are not random. They seem to match the quiet beat of your own heart. A tiny wave, a pause, another wave, like a soft echo of life itself. For a moment, it feels like the whole world is breathing with you. Small and simple, yet deep and endless. Have you ever felt that kind of strange connection with something ordinary? If you have, I would love to hear about it. Please share your moment in the comments. Maybe you saw a leaf drifting exactly when you sighed, or a bird took flight just as you felt your thoughts lift. Let's build a space where we can share those small wonders together. Raindrops are something we often ignore. They tap on windows, dance on roofs, slide down car windows. We move through the rain quickly, trying to stay dry. But once in a while, if we slow down, we notice that each drop has a life of its own. Each ripple it makes grows, joins others, fades away, and sometimes, hidden in those ripples, we catch a pattern that feels strangely familiar. It's like nature itself is speaking a soft language, one that matches the quiet songs inside us. Think of times when you were studying or working. Maybe you were tired and stressed, but suddenly you heard the ticking of a clock in a room nearby, steady and calm. It didn't speed you up. Instead, it slowed you down. It brought you back to yourself. Or maybe you were walking during sunset, and your steps started matching the rhythm of the crickets in the grass. Life outside of you was moving with you, not against you. Relationships often have this quiet rhythm too. Two people can grow close without even realizing how their energies start to match. The way one person laughs, the way the other listens, the way both pause at the same time, thinking about nothing and everything at once. It's a dance without music, but the steps are still real. Sometimes it's in friendships, sometimes in family, and sometimes in people we just meet by chance. This feeling of patterns connecting, tiny and vast at the same time, is what scientists call a fractal. A fractal is something that looks the same no matter how small or big you make it, like the way tree branches split, or the way rivers weave, or even how lightning forks through the sky. No matter where you look, the shape echoes itself. When we notice something tiny, like a raindrop's ripple matching our heartbeat, we are touching a hidden truth, that the very small and the very large are not so different. It makes us wonder, what if our lives are filled with fractals too? Moments inside moments, feelings inside feelings. Maybe the challenges we face on a big scale, fears, hopes, dreams, are not so different from the tiny emotions we have each day. Maybe solving a small worry teaches us something about the bigger worries. Maybe holding kindness in one conversation grows into kindness across years. Beliefs can shift when we notice fractal moments. We often think we are separate from the world. We are taught that nature is out there, and we are in here. But when a raindrop's rhythm matches your heart, you realize the line is thinner than it seems. Maybe we are part of nature in ways we barely understand. Maybe we are not observers of life, but participants in its quiet music. Language struggles with this too. How do you describe a moment that feels both tiny and endless? We have words like awe and wonder, but they never seem quite big enough. That's okay. Some feelings are too rich to be squeezed into words. They are meant to be felt, like warm rain on your skin or the soft weight of someone's hand in yours. Mental health can be touched by this understanding too. When you are feeling small, overwhelmed by problems, lonely in your struggles, it helps to remember that even the small things are part of something vast. A single kind thought, a small breath taken calmly, a little moment of noticing beauty. These are not tiny at all. They ripple outward. They are part of the great pattern of healing, growth, and life. You are never really alone. Your heartbeat is echoed in the rain. Your sighs are carried by the wind. Your hopes are reflected in the stars above. Even in the world of AI and technology, we see fractal patterns. Computers learn by breaking problems into smaller and smaller pieces and solving each one carefully. AI grows not by huge leaps all at once, but by patient, careful steps that mirror each other. Learning, whether it's in a machine or in a human heart, is a fractal journey. Tiny improvements that create vast change over time. So next time you find yourself standing in the rain, slow down. Watch the ripples form. Feel your heartbeat. See if you can notice the soft echo between you and the world around you. It's there, waiting quietly, like a hidden song that only the calmest hearts can hear. Have you ever had a fractal moment like that? A time when you saw yourself reflected in something small? Maybe in a flower opening at the same pace you took a deep breath. Maybe in the slow melting of ice on a window, tracing a path you somehow understood deep inside. If you have, please share it. Your story could be the very light someone else needs to see their own connection to the world again. And if you find these soft reflections comforting, you are welcome to subscribe and stay with us on this gentle path of noticing. Remember, you are part of something beautiful and vast even when you feel small. Every heartbeat, every breath, every thought is a ripple moving outward into the world. Life is not about being big or loud. It is about being real, about noticing, about moving to the secret rhythm that ties everything together. Raindrops, heartbeats, dreams, and hopes. The fractal moment is always there. You just have to slow down enough to see it. Paradox pulse. Have you ever woken up just moments before your alarm rings? Your heart is already racing, your body moving, even before the sound hits your ears. It's as if your mind knew time was coming, like it had already heard the alarm before it went off. This strange feeling when your body anticipates something before it happens seems impossible, doesn't it? It's like your body is tuned to a frequency that doesn't belong to the present moment, but perhaps to the future. If you've ever experienced something like this, I'd love to hear your thoughts, or if you've noticed something similar happen to you. Please share in the comments below, where we can connect over this shared mystery. This experience is one many of us have had, whether it's waking up early on your own without any external cue, or feeling an uneasy sense of something before it even occurs. In a way, it's like your body is ahead of time, already preparing for what's about to happen. But how can that be? Our minds usually react to what's happening now, yet sometimes they seem to act in ways that feel completely out of sync with the present. It's like your body is in tune with something deeper, a rhythm outside the usual pattern of time. The paradox of feeling something before it happens brings to the surface so many questions about how we experience the world. Let's think about a common scenario, like waking up for school or work. You've set your alarm expecting it to be your cue to rise and start the day. But somehow, long before that loud sound disrupts the silence, your body is already awake. Your heart might be beating faster, you feel more alert, and it's as if your senses are already preparing you for the busy day ahead. It's almost like the body is running a few seconds or even minutes ahead of the actual time. You wonder, how did that happen? How did your body know before the alarm even rang? This phenomenon isn't just a quirky coincidence, it's a glimpse into the deeper mysteries of time and perception, something that science has yet to fully explain. Imagine a relationship where you can sense the mood of the other person without a word being said. You might feel tension before the conversation starts, or an unspoken connection before your partner even walks into the room. It's like your body is already responding to the energy in the room, anticipating what is to come. Have you ever walked into a room where you felt something was off, even though no one said a thing? That subtle shift, that feeling of knowing what's going to happen next, whether it's an argument, a moment of joy, or something else. It's like your body is in sync with the future, even though it's still the present. There's also the more universal experience of anxiety. Have you ever felt a wave of nervousness before a big exam, meeting, or event, without a clear reason? Sometimes you don't even know why you're stressed, but your body is already in fight or flight mode. It's as if your subconscious mind is sensing the challenge before you consciously realize it. This can be frustrating because we feel disconnected from our own feelings. Why does the body react in these mysterious ways? The paradox pulse reminds us that we are more deeply connected to our inner rhythms than we often realize. We also see this idea in our dreams. How many times have you woken up with a sense of déjà vu, knowing the dream you just had was not just a random set of images, but something that felt like a prediction of something that could happen? The mind often works in mysterious ways, predicting outcomes before the event itself takes place. It's as though the boundaries of time are blurring in those moments, allowing us to experience the future before it happens. These strange glimpses into our own subconscious minds can feel like a paradox. How can we feel something in the future without even knowing it yet? This paradox pulse touches deeper themes of belief and perception. Are we just reacting to the present, or are we somehow tapping into a future that we're not fully aware of? The world often works in mysterious ways, with time seemingly bending to allow us to sense things before they come to pass. It's a reminder that our minds, bodies, and hearts might be more connected to time and space than we realize. What if time isn't linear, as we've always been taught, but something we can sense, feel, and experience in different ways, depending on where we are and how we tune in? Language struggles with these concepts, often reducing them to simple explanations that fall short of capturing the complexity of the experience. How can we describe the feeling of knowing something before it happens, when time itself seems to be stretching or contracting before our eyes? We may use words like intuition or instinct, but they don't quite explain the whole story. These words don't fully capture the depth of this paradox pulse. It's like trying to explain a beautiful piece of music with just a few notes. We feel it, but it's hard to put into words. In the world of mental health, this paradox can be both a challenge and an opportunity. On one hand, it may feel unsettling to have your body reacting before your mind can catch up. It can feel like you're trapped in a cycle of anxiety or anticipation. But on the other hand, this paradox pulse can teach us to tune into our emotions and physical sensations more deeply. It encourages us to listen to the quiet whispers inside us, those moments when your heart races before the alarm rings, or you feel a shift in the air before a conversation starts. Even in the realm of artificial intelligence, we see an interesting reflection of this paradox pulse. Machine learning, for example, involves a process where a computer anticipates future actions based on past data. It predicts the next step before it's fully aware of the outcome, similar to how our bodies seem to predict the future based on past experiences. AI systems, like us, are constantly trying to tune into the rhythm of data, making decisions before they even know the full scope of the situation. There's a fascinating connection here between the way our bodies function and how machines try to mimic human understanding of time and space. As we consider the paradox pulse, it invites us to explore the deeper mysteries of time. Can we ever fully grasp how our minds and bodies anticipate the future? What does it mean to experience time before it happens? Are we all somehow attuned to the rhythms of life, whether we realize it or not? The next time you feel your heart race before the alarm rings or sense a shift in energy before a conversation begins, take a moment to reflect. You are experiencing a subtle, beautiful paradox, a reminder that time and perception are far more fluid than we often realize. So, what do you think? Have you ever felt this paradox pulse yourself? That quiet, mysterious moment when your body is already living in the future, before the present even catches up. I'd love to hear about it. Share your experiences in the comments below. Maybe together we can begin to understand these moments that connect us to the world in ways we can't yet explain. If you enjoy reflecting on these strange, beautiful moments, consider subscribing to continue exploring the mysteries of time, perception, and our place in the world. Cause loop. Imagine this. You plant a seed, take care of it, watch it grow, but then something strange happens. You wake up one day and realize that seed has sprouted in a way you never expected. It's as though the plant grew before you, even had the chance to plant it. This isn't just about nature. It's about a strange and mysterious twist in the way things unfold in life. You might feel that you've been involved in something from the very beginning, only to realize that you didn't plant the seed at all. Something else, something outside of your control, sets it into motion. This is what we might call the cause loop, a cycle where your actions, intentions, and the outcomes feel strangely disconnected, yet deeply connected at the same time. Have you ever felt like you were walking down a path, not knowing where it was leading, only to arrive somewhere familiar, even though you didn't consciously choose that route? Maybe it's a job you ended up in, a relationship that unexpectedly formed, or a creative project that seemed to take on a life of its own. It's as though, in your effort to create something new, the universe decided it had its own idea of what should grow. This paradox can feel both exhilarating and unsettling. On one hand, it's a reminder of how much control we have over our lives, and on the other hand, it shows us how little we truly know about the forces that shape our reality. Sometimes in life, we set out with the best intentions. We make choices, we take actions, and we put in the effort. Yet, when we step back and look at the results, they often seem to have sprouted in ways we never expected. The outcome may feel familiar, but it's not exactly what we planned for. It's like planting a tree, only to find a different species of plant growing in its place. You may wonder, how did this happen? Was it my actions that caused this? Or was there something else at play? This is the core of the cause loop, when our actions create something, but the result seems to come from somewhere else entirely. Think about how we approach decisions. When you decide to take a certain action, whether it's starting a new hobby, pursuing a career, or even choosing where to live, there's often a sense of agency, a feeling that you are in control. You think you're planting the seed, but over time, you may realize that the seed you planted didn't grow in the way you expected. Maybe you took a job that seemed perfect, but now you find yourself questioning your path. Or perhaps you started a creative project that has taken on a life of its own, leading you to a place you never intended. It's like looking back at the moment you planted the seed and realizing that what grew wasn't exactly what you thought you were sowing. In relationships, the cause loop can feel just as mysterious. Think about a friendship or a romantic relationship that developed unexpectedly. At first, you might have thought it was just a casual interaction, but over time, it deepened in ways you didn't plan. You may have thought you were planting the seed of a simple friendship, but suddenly it blossoms into something far more complicated or significant than you imagined. It's like the process of becoming close to someone without even realizing how the relationship started to grow. You didn't consciously choose to let it blossom in this way, but here it is, and you find yourself in the middle of something bigger than you expected. The cause loop touches on bigger themes about belief and control. It challenges the way we view our own agency in the world. If we set an intention, plant a seed, and wait for the results, are we truly in control of what grows, or is there something larger at play? The cause loop raises the question: how much of our life is shaped by our direct choices, and how much is shaped by factors beyond our understanding? This paradox invites us to reflect on how little we know about the forces at work around us. Sometimes things seem to unfold naturally, like a plant growing, without us being able to explain why or how it happened. This also touches on the way we understand time and causality. We often think of time as linear, a straightforward progression from one moment to the next. But in the cause loop, the past and future seem to blur. You might look at your actions today and feel that the outcome is already unfolding, even though you didn't intend for things to play out that way. It's as if your present actions are already linked to an outcome that's beyond your control, yet you still feel responsible for them. The paradox is that your actions set something in motion, but the direction it takes is outside your direct control. It's like planting a seed and watching it grow in a way that surprises you, even though you thought you were in charge of its growth all along. On a deeper level, the cause loop challenges our understanding of cause and effect. We tend to believe that every action has a specific outcome, a direct link between what we do and what happens next. But sometimes, life feels more like a spiral, with actions looping around in ways we didn't anticipate. You think you know where you're going, but the path leads somewhere else entirely. This can be disorienting, especially when we're used to thinking in terms of clear, straightforward connections. But it's also a reminder that life is full of surprises, and not everything can be explained by simple cause and effect. In terms of mental health, the cause loop can be both comforting and unsettling. On one hand, it shows us that things can grow even when we aren't actively trying to make them happen. It suggests that growth, in all forms, can be a natural process, one that unfolds whether we plan for it or not. On the other hand, it also reminds us that not all growth is within our control. This paradox can be difficult to navigate, as it forces us to face the uncertainty of life and our own limitations in shaping our future. But it also opens the door to deeper reflection on how much we really understand about our own experiences. As with many paradoxes, the cause loop is something we can't fully explain with logic alone. It's something we feel, something we sense when life's events unfold in ways that seem both familiar and strange at the same time. Whether it's a job that grew into a career you never expected, a relationship that developed into something more profound, or a moment when you realized that the seeds you thought you planted had grown in ways you couldn't have imagined, the cause loop is there. It's a mystery that invites us to reflect on the larger forces at work in our lives. Have you ever felt this paradox in your own life? That sense of planting a seed you never sowed and watching something unexpected grow? I'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences in the comments. Share with me a time when you felt like your actions were part of a larger loop, one that you couldn't fully control or explain. Maybe by reflecting on these moments together, we can begin to understand the mysterious ways in which our actions and outcomes are interconnected. If you enjoy reflecting on life's paradoxes, consider subscribing and joining our journey of discovery as we explore the mysteries of the mind and the world around us. Fate flicker. Have you ever had a moment where a random compliment you received, something simple perhaps, keeps replaying in your mind? It might have been a passing remark from someone, a comment that seemed small at the time, but now it echoes in your thoughts like a tune you can't quite shake off. Now, imagine this compliment guiding you towards someone you've never met. How could a simple word, a small phrase, change the course of your day, your week, or even your life? The idea that one compliment can lead you towards someone new, someone important may seem mysterious, but it's a thought worth exploring. This is the fate flicker, a seemingly random moment that stirs something inside us and sets us on a new path. Have you ever experienced something like this? Maybe it was a compliment from a stranger, or maybe it was from someone you know, but the word stuck with you. You didn't expect them to have any lasting impact, yet they resurface when you least expect it, nudging you in a new direction. You may start to notice signs, little clues that lead you toward a new person, an unexpected encounter that feels almost fated. It's like the universe is hinting that you're about to cross paths with someone special, even though you haven't met them yet. Think of it as a tiny spark in your mind, a flicker of possibility that slowly grows into something more. The compliment, which may seem so insignificant at first, becomes a part of your inner dialogue. It guides you like a compass pointing in an unfamiliar direction toward an encounter that feels right, but you didn't know it was coming. This is where the fate flicker begins. For example, imagine you're walking down the street, just another ordinary day. A person you've never seen before offers you a compliment. "I like your shoes." At the moment, it's a nice gesture, but you don't think much of it. However, later that day, you walk into a coffee shop, and there they are again. The same person sitting alone, reading a book you've been wanting to read. It's a coincidence, you might think, but something about it feels different, as though this moment was somehow meant to happen. Maybe this person will become a new friend, or maybe they'll just leave you with a thought that stays with you long after the encounter. Either way, that compliment was the flicker, the spark that led you to this moment. This is the essence of fate flicker, those seemingly random, unimportant moments that can lead us to people, places, and experiences that change us in ways we can't quite explain. These moments are the starting point for something larger. They are the whispers of life, urging us toward the people and connections that will shape our journey. The intriguing part of fate flicker is how it connects to something deeper within us. The compliment doesn't just live in the moment it was given. It lodges itself in our minds, influencing our decisions, shaping our thoughts, and guiding us in ways we don't always understand. It's like a memory you can't quite place, yet it feels familiar, almost as if it belongs to you. This simple compliment becomes a trigger, a way for the universe to nudge you towards something you didn't even know you needed. It's as if your subconscious is preparing you for something bigger. When we talk about the concept of fate flickering, we're touching on the strange way life sometimes feels preordained. It's not that everything is set in stone, but there are moments, just like this, where everything seems to fall into place with surprising precision. The randomness of life, the chaos of chance encounters, begins to feel less random when you start to notice these flickers of fate. Maybe, just maybe, they aren't so random after all. This concept also raises interesting questions about how we see the world around us. Are we in control of the people we meet, the encounters we have, or are we being gently guided by forces we don't fully understand? Maybe it's the words people say, or the small acts of kindness we receive, that push us toward the right direction. The universe, in all its complexity, might be providing us with these little signs, like compliments, that serve as guides, leading us toward the people who will change our lives. If we think about it further, fate flicker isn't just about meeting someone new. It's about the connections we make with others, how they affect our lives, and how those connections ripple outward. Maybe that compliment is just the beginning, but it opens the door to a relationship, an opportunity, or an experience that was always meant to be part of your journey. You could argue that our connections with others are what truly shape our destinies, and that's why a random compliment or an unexpected encounter can feel like a turning point. It's easy to overlook these moments when we're caught up in the busyness of life. But when we pause, when we allow ourselves to reflect, we start to realize that these small instances are far from insignificant. They are pieces of a puzzle, little clues scattered along our path. And sometimes all it takes is one simple compliment, one fleeting moment of connection, to set everything in motion. This brings us to the paradox of fate flickering, how something as fleeting as a compliment can have such a lasting impact. It's a beautiful reminder of how life works in mysterious ways, how the smallest things can trigger the biggest changes. The paradox is that even though these moments feel so random, they often lead us to exactly where we need to be. They make us wonder, if we hadn't received that compliment, if we hadn't crossed paths with that person, where would we be now? What's even more fascinating is that these fate flickers don't just happen by chance. They are part of a larger pattern, a web of connections and interactions that tie us all together. The compliment you receive could be the key to something much bigger, something you couldn't have planned for or predicted. It's a beautiful thought, how a single word, a brief encounter, can set the stage for something life-changing. It's almost as though we're all connected in ways we don't fully understand, and sometimes it takes a random moment like this to reveal that connection. At its core, fate flickers are a reminder that life is full of surprises. It's easy to get caught up in the routine, in the predictable patterns of our day-to-day lives. But when we stop to appreciate the small moments, the random compliments, the fleeting encounters, we begin to see that there is so much more happening around us than we realize. These moments aren't just coincidences, they're opportunities, clues and connections that help us move forward on our journey, leading us toward people and experiences that make life richer. Have you ever noticed how some of your closest relationships began with something as simple as a compliment or a casual conversation? Those small interactions, which might have seemed unimportant at the time, turn out to be the foundation of something meaningful. And the beauty of it is that these fate flickers don't require us to search for them. They find us, often when we least expect it, and offer us a glimpse into a world of new possibilities. So next time you find yourself on the receiving end of a compliment, take a moment to appreciate it. Notice how it makes you feel, and allow yourself to follow its lead. You never know where it might take you. It could guide you towards someone or something that changes your life in ways you never imagined. And if you've experienced something like this before, if you've ever felt that flicker of fate guiding you towards someone new, I'd love to hear your story. Share your experiences in the comments, and let's connect over these mysterious, magical moments that life has a way of throwing our way. Reflection shift. Have you ever stood in front of a mirror, catching your reflection, and for just a brief moment, your mirror image smiles at you on its own? Not a smile you planned, not one you consciously made, but one that seems to appear from nowhere. Then, as you focus on it, trying to understand what just happened, it snaps back to its usual neutral self. It's as though the mirror is playing a trick on you, offering a glimpse of something unexpected, something that doesn't seem to belong. But what does this moment mean? Why did your reflection change in such an unexplainable way? And could it be that there's more to these brief, almost imperceptible shifts in our reflections than we realize? You might have experienced this before, standing in front of a mirror, and for just a second, your reflection doesn't quite match the movement you made. Maybe your reflection holds a smile a bit longer than you intended, or it reacts in a way that feels out of sync with what you're doing. At first, it's so quick, so subtle, that you almost think you imagined it. But then, the moment is gone, and it's as if nothing happened at all. Was it a trick of the light? A quirk of your mind? Or was it something deeper? A moment that hints at a mystery we might never fully understand. This experience, as fleeting as it is, can leave you with a sense of wonder, and maybe even a touch of unease. Why did your reflection act on its own, independent of you? It's as if there's a small, hidden part of you that exists in that reflection, a part that can sometimes step outside of the usual boundaries of time and space, reacting in ways you didn't expect. It's a strange thought, isn't it? That for just a moment, the reflection of you in the mirror becomes something separate, something that doesn't exactly obey your will. Let's take a moment to think about what happens when we look into a mirror. It's a simple, everyday occurrence. We look into the mirror to check our appearance, to see ourselves clearly. But mirrors, in a way, are far more mysterious than we give them credit for. They are reflections of ourselves, yes, but they also seem to hold something that's hard to grasp. We see ourselves, yet, at the same time, the mirror shows us a version of ourselves that is slightly different, an image of us that is always just a little out of reach, always one step removed from our true selves. In that moment, as we stand before it, the reflection holds not just our physical form, but something deeper, a symbol of our inner selves, our thoughts, and even our emotions. So when that smile appears on your reflection, when it flashes for just a moment before snapping back to normal, it's as though the mirror is showing you something more than just your outer appearance. It's revealing a shift, a subtle change, that might be tied to something within you, something that your conscious mind hasn't quite caught up to yet. It could be an emotion, a thought, or a feeling that you weren't fully aware of. But in that brief moment, the mirror seems to capture it, showing you a part of yourself that exists just beneath the surface. Now, let's consider what this moment tells us about ourselves. Why does this shift in the reflection happen? What does it mean when your reflection behaves differently than you do? It could be a reminder that we are more complex than we realize, that our inner selves are not always in sync with our outer actions. The mind and body don't always operate as one. Sometimes our feelings and thoughts are not as aligned with what we present to the world. In those moments when our reflection shifts, it's as if the mirror is giving us a glimpse of that inner world, showing us a part of ourselves that we may not be fully aware of. For example, imagine you're having a tough day. Maybe there's a lot of stress at work or school, or you're dealing with something difficult in your personal life. You might look into the mirror, and as you catch your reflection, you notice a small smile on your face, a smile that doesn't quite match the emotions you're feeling inside. It's as if the reflection is offering you a hint of something deeper, something positive that your mind might be overlooking. It's a subtle shift, but it's there. Maybe it's a reminder that even in moments of hardship, there is a part of you that still holds a sense of hope, a sense of calm, or a belief that things can get better. Your reflection for just a moment captures that inner peace, reminding you that no matter what you face, there is still light inside you. In this way, the shift in your reflection could be seen as a small invitation to connect with your deeper self. It's easy to become caught up in the surface-level things, the stress of the day, the worries about the future, or the challenges we face. But the reflection shift, even if it's just a fleeting moment, offers us a chance to look inward, to recognize that there's more to us than meets the eye. The smile, the subtle shift in your reflection, could be a signal that there is an inner strength, a quiet resilience that we may not always acknowledge, but that is always present within us. This moment, this brief reflection shift, also brings us to think about the nature of mirrors themselves. We've all heard the phrase, "seeing is believing," but mirrors complicate that idea. A mirror shows us a version of ourselves, yes, but it's not always an accurate reflection of how we feel or who we truly are. It's just a surface-level image, a snapshot of our outer selves. And yet, we place so much trust in mirrors to reveal the truth. We look to them to confirm our appearance, to validate how we see ourselves, but in reality the mirror can only show us one side of the story. It can't capture our emotions, our thoughts, or the layers of complexity that make us who we are. The shift in the reflection, then, could be seen as a reminder that there is more to us than what we see in the mirror. On a larger scale, this paradox of the reflection shift invites us to question the nature of perception itself. How do we perceive ourselves, and how much of that perception is shaped by what we see in mirrors or through the eyes of others? If a simple reflection can change on its own, can we trust the way we see ourselves? Could it be that our own perception of who we are is just as fluid, just as capable of shifting, as the reflection in the mirror? These questions lead us to explore how our internal world, the way we think and feel, shapes the way we view the world around us. If we change the way we see ourselves, could the world around us change too? And what happens when we allow ourselves to see beyond the surface, beyond the reflection, to understand the deeper layers of who we truly are? In a world filled with constant change, the reflection shift could serve as a gentle reminder that things are not always as they appear. Our reflections, our perceptions, and even our emotions can shift in subtle, mysterious ways. But this doesn't mean we are losing control. Rather, it's an invitation to embrace the ebb and flow of life, to understand that we are more than just the version of ourselves we see in the mirror. There is always more beneath the surface, always more waiting to be discovered. Have you ever noticed a shift in your reflection like this? Have you ever seen your mirror image do something that felt out of place, like it was trying to show you something you hadn't yet realized? It's an experience that can be both perplexing and enlightening. If you've had a moment like this, I'd love to hear about it. Share your thoughts in the comments, and let's explore together the mysterious ways in which our reflections can offer us glimpses of who we truly are. Perception rift. Have you ever experienced a moment where the world around you seemed to change in a strange, inexplicable way? Maybe you heard a sound and for a second it didn't sound like a sound at all, but like a color or a feeling or even a piece of music? It might have lasted only a moment, and when you tried to focus on it, everything snapped back to normal. But during that brief instant, something in your mind shifted. It was as though your senses had crossed wires, blending together in a way that felt new and strange. Colors seemed to hum like a melody. A familiar sound might have felt like it, was painted in hues. It's like your brain has momentarily lost its usual grip on reality, allowing your senses to merge in ways they usually don't. You might think it's just a quirk of your brain, something that happened by accident. But what if this experience, this brief rift in perception, holds deeper meaning? What if it's a glimpse into something more mysterious about the way we experience the world around us? For that fleeting moment, your senses didn't just work together in the usual way. They became one, blending and mingling in a way that defies the way we typically experience reality. And while this might seem like a small and isolated moment, it speaks to something bigger. The way our brains process the world around us, the way we understand reality, and how our perception can sometimes play tricks on us, leading us to question what is really happening in those moments when the lines between senses blur. This experience might be more common than we think. Have you ever heard a song that felt like it had a color? Or seen a painting that seemed to hum with a rhythm? Have you ever looked at a sunset, and for just a second, the colors seemed to sing to you? Maybe it was a passing thought, or an odd feeling, but in that moment, the boundaries between sound, sight, and feeling disappeared, and you were left with a strange, beautiful overlap of your senses. It's a fleeting moment, almost like a trick your mind is playing on you, but it's real. It's a perception rift, a moment when your senses momentarily cross their wires, creating a unique and unexpected experience. In these moments, your mind seems to unlock a new way of experiencing the world. It's as if your usual way of perceiving, seeing colors as visual experiences, hearing sounds as auditory events, suddenly shifts, opening the door to a completely different reality. You might see sound or hear color, or even taste something that isn't there. These perceptions are both familiar and unfamiliar, almost as if your mind is suggesting a new language for you to understand the world. For a few moments, the lines between the senses are blurred, and you are allowed to experience reality in a different, richer way. Think about how we experience everyday life. When you hear the sound of rain tapping on a window, you don't normally think about it in terms of color or taste. But imagine for a moment that you could hear the rain and see it, feel it, all at once, and not just in the way you are used to. What if the sound of rain was accompanied by the feeling of blue, or the sight of soft silver streaks in the air? It might sound impossible, but this is the heart of the perception rift. It's a brief, magical crossing of senses that allows us to experience the world from an entirely different perspective. It's as though our brains are reminding us that reality is far more flexible, far more fluid than we often think. In some ways, these experiences are similar to dreams. When you dream, the usual rules of the world don't apply. You might be able to fly, or travel through time, or communicate with people you've never met. In a dream, your senses don't stay in their usual categories. You might taste a color or see a sound. And just like in dreams, a perception rift makes you question the rigid boundaries between your senses. If you can hear color or taste sound, what else is possible? What other parts of our reality might be more flexible than we realize? These moments of sensory crossing may also be connected to the way we process emotions. Have you ever felt a certain way and then noticed that the world around you seemed to reflect that feeling? For instance, if you're feeling particularly joyful, you might look outside and see the world through a different lens. The sky might seem brighter, the air might feel lighter, and the sounds around you may seem more beautiful. It's not that the world has changed, but your perception of it has. The perception rift happens when this shift occurs in a more intense and unexpected way. It's not just that the world seems brighter, it's as though the world becomes a sensory experience all its own, where everything is interconnected, and one sense flows into another. This paradox of perception rift also brings us to think about the role of language in our understanding of the world. We often rely on language to describe our experiences, but language itself is limited. How do you describe the experience of hearing a color or seeing a sound? There aren't really words for it, not in the traditional sense. We rely on metaphors, saying something sounds blue or feels warm, but the experience itself is far more complex than what words can convey. In these moments when our senses cross, it's as if we are experiencing something beyond language, beyond the categories that words force us into. It's a reminder that our understanding of reality is incomplete, that there is always more to experience than we can describe. Perhaps what makes these moments even more fascinating is how they relate to the mind itself. How do our brains make sense of the world around us? How do we decide which sense is in charge and which takes a back seat? What happens when the usual rules of perception are suddenly thrown out the window? The perception rift challenges the way we think about how we interact with the world. It's a reminder that our brains are incredibly flexible, capable of rearranging, our sensory experiences in ways that we may not even fully understand. What does it say about us that we can experience the world in such a fluid, dynamic way? It suggests that our brains are not static, but constantly evolving, constantly searching for new ways to interpret the world. In addition, the perception rift can also connect to the idea of mental health and well-being. Our emotional states can deeply influence how we perceive the world around us. When we are anxious, the world may seem dull, gray, and distant. When we are at peace, the world may appear vibrant and alive. What happens when we are able to consciously control this shift? When we learn to blur the lines between our senses and engage more deeply with the world? Could this ability to experience the world more fully be a key to emotional balance, to understanding and improving our mental well-being? There's also something beautiful about how these sensory moments make us feel connected to something larger than ourselves. When the boundaries between the senses blur, it's as if we are reminded of the interconnectedness of all things. It's not just that we see color or hear sound, but that these experiences are part of a larger, more intricate web of reality. The perception rift is like a bridge that connects our senses to each other, and in doing so, it connects us to the world in ways that go beyond words, beyond description. It's a reminder that our experience of the world is a deeply personal and yet shared experience, one that transcends the limitations of our individual senses. Have you ever had a moment where the world around you seemed to merge in unexpected ways, where colors sounded like music, or sounds felt like colors? It's a strange and beautiful experience, one that many people have encountered, yet few can explain. If you've ever experienced a perception rift, I'd love to hear about it. Share your thoughts or experiences in the comments below. Let's explore together these mysterious moments where our senses cross paths, where we catch a glimpse of a world beyond the ordinary, a world that is more fluid, more interconnected, and more full of wonder than we could ever fully understand. Ghost timestamp. Imagine this: you're looking through the photos on your phone, scrolling casually, when suddenly you come across a picture that you don't remember taking. It's not a photo from a recent trip or an event you've forgotten about. No, this photo is unlike anything you've ever seen, and yet it's stored on your camera, time-stamped before you even own the device. How could this be? You didn't take it, and yet there it is, a snapshot of something, somewhere, before your time with the camera ever began. It's as if the image came from nowhere, leaving you with a feeling of unease, a sense that something doesn't quite add up. This is what's known as a ghost timestamp, a photo that seems to belong to a past you've never lived. At first, it might seem like a glitch, something strange but explainable. Maybe it's just a malfunction, a random error in the camera's memory, or an issue with the software. But as you look closer, a feeling starts to creep in. The more you think about it, the more questions arise. How could this picture exist on your phone, in your camera, when you have no memory of taking it? It's as if the camera has captured a moment from an alternate timeline, a forgotten space in time where you weren't present. And yet, the timestamp tells a different story, one that points to a time before you even owned the device. This experience can be both perplexing and unsettling. After all, we rely on our phones and cameras to capture moments that are meaningful to us, moments that we can look back on and relive. But when something appears on our devices that we don't, remember, it challenges our sense of reality, of time, and of memory. Could it be that we're not as in control of our technology as we think? Or is there something more mysterious at play, something beyond our understanding? Consider the way we use technology in our everyday lives. We take photos of events, of places, and of people we care about. These pictures serve as reminders of our experiences, memories frozen in time. But when we stumble across an image that doesn't belong, it's almost as if the timeline has been altered. It's not just about the photo itself, it's about what it represents, the fact that time, memory, and technology can be intertwined in ways we don't fully comprehend. For instance, think about a time when you've taken a photo of a beautiful sunset or an exciting moment with friends. You can clearly remember the context, the emotions you felt, and the place you were in when you took that picture. Now, imagine, instead, that you find a photo in your phone's gallery, showing a sunset in a place you've never been, a moment you never lived. The timestamp shows that it was taken months ago, before you even got the phone. How do you explain that? It's as if your phone, a device that usually acts as a recorder of your life, has somehow picked up an image from a different reality, one where you were never present. The question isn't just about the photo itself, it's about the eerie feeling that this image was somehow destined to appear on your device, even though it shouldn't be there. It's easy to brush off such moments as coincidences or malfunctions. But think about this. In today's world, our phones are more than just tools. They are extensions of our lives, our memories, and our identities. They hold our personal histories, our photos, texts, and records. And when something like a ghost timestamp appears, it feels as if our understanding of time and memory is being questioned. We start to wonder, what if our technology is more connected to the fabric of reality than we think? What if these glitches, these strange occurrences, are glimpses into something deeper, something we don't fully understand yet? In many ways, these moments challenge our understanding of time itself. We live our lives with a clear sense of past, present, and future. We take photos as markers of the present, and we look back at them to remember the past. But when an image from an unknown past appears, it's as though the boundaries of time have been blurred. The photo exists in the present, yet it's tied to a time before you even had the phone. It's as if the past and present have become entangled, leaving us with a feeling that time itself may not be as linear as we've always believed. This concept isn't just about strange glitches in technology. It also touches on the deeper themes of memory, belief, and the way we perceive the world. Our memories shape who we are, guiding us through life by giving us a sense of continuity and identity. But what happens when those memories don't match up with the reality we experience? What happens when we encounter a moment that doesn't belong, a memory that isn't ours? The ghost timestamp serves as a reminder that our perception of reality is fragile, that our memories and the technology we rely on can sometimes give us a distorted view of time and place. It's also interesting to think about how this concept relates to the bigger question of human experience. How do we know what is real and what isn't? How do we trust our own minds and our own senses when they can be so easily manipulated, whether by technology or by our own memories? A ghost timestamp challenges our belief in the reliability of our own experiences, making us question whether the past is as fixed as we think it is. Is it possible that the past can be rewritten? Or that there are moments that exist outside of our awareness, waiting to be discovered? In a world where technology is becoming increasingly advanced, we are constantly surrounded by devices that capture, store, and analyze data. We rely on these tools to record our lives, yet they are not infallible. They can store information we don't remember, capture moments we didn't experience, and show us things we may not be ready to understand. This raises important questions about the relationship between technology and memory, and how much we can truly trust the devices we depend on. The ghost timestamp, in this sense, might be a metaphor for the unpredictability of technology and the way it shapes our understanding of the world. On a more personal level, the appearance of a photo you don't remember taking can evoke a sense of mystery, even wonder. It reminds us that there is so much more to the world than we see, so many layers of reality that are hidden from view. It's as if the universe is offering us a glimpse behind the curtain, a moment of connection with something larger than ourselves. In these moments, we are reminded of the beauty of mystery, of the unknown. Maybe these ghost images are not just glitches, but opportunities for us to explore the boundaries of time, memory, and experience in new ways. Have you ever had a moment where a photo or an image appeared on your phone that you didn't remember taking? How did it make you feel? Did it stir up any questions or curiosities about the world around you? I'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences. Share them in the comments below, and let's explore together the mysterious ways in which technology, memory, and time can blur and cross paths in ways we never expected. Silent origin. Have you ever found yourself in the middle of a task and suddenly realized you don't remember starting it? You're not sure how you got there, but somehow you're already halfway through. Maybe it's a project you're working on, a conversation you're having, or something as simple as cooking dinner. One moment you were just thinking about it, and the next you're fully immersed, but you can't recall the exact moment when you began. It's as if the start of the task was silent, slipping by unnoticed, and now you're just going through the motions, unaware of how it all began. This is the silent origin, the strange feeling that you know you began something, but there's no memory of when or how it all started. It's an unsettling experience, isn't it? You're sitting at your desk working away when it hits you. How did I get here? It's not that you've forgotten the task itself. You know what you're doing. But the very moment you decided to begin, the spark that kicked everything off, is completely lost in your mind. It's as if the beginning of the task, the initial choice to start, has vanished into thin air, leaving no trace. The strange part is, it's not just about forgetting a specific detail. It's as though time has quietly slipped away without you noticing, and now you're caught in the middle of it, unable to rewind or pinpoint the beginning. At first, it might seem like a simple case of distraction or forgetfulness. Maybe you were lost in thought when you started, or maybe you got up and began the task without consciously thinking about it. But as you continue, the mystery deepens. The more you try to retrace your steps, the more elusive the beginning becomes. It's as if the task has a life of its own, moving forward with or without your awareness. You might even ask yourself, did I start this on autopilot? Or was I just so absorbed in the moment that the beginning simply didn't register? We all experience moments like this from time to time. Maybe you're studying for an exam, flipping through notes, when suddenly you realize you've been reading for an hour and you can't remember exactly when you picked up the textbook. Or perhaps you're working on a project, and when you glance at the clock you're surprised by how much time has passed, even though you don't remember the exact moment you started. These silent origins can happen in the most mundane tasks, and yet they still carry a sense of mystery, a quiet unease. It's as though we're walking through our own lives without fully registering every step. Think about it. We're constantly moving through time, making choices and taking actions. And yet, there are moments when the beginning of something feels like a blur. It's not that we're forgetful. Rather, it's that we don't always have the conscious awareness of when something begins. This can happen when we're fully immersed in an activity, or even when we're in a state of deep focus. The mind becomes so absorbed in the present that the initial spark, the decision to start, becomes lost to the subconscious, leaving us with no memory of when or how we first began. This phenomenon also touches on a deeper, almost philosophical question. What does it mean to truly begin something? When we start a task, we often think of it as a clear, deliberate decision. But when we experience a silent origin, we're reminded that beginnings can sometimes happen without our full awareness. In some ways, this challenges our understanding of time and agency. Are we always in control of our actions, or do they sometimes unfold without our conscious involvement? The concept of a silent origin suggests that there may be moments in our lives when we're not fully present in the act of starting, when things simply begin and carry on without us even noticing. This idea isn't just about forgetting. It's about the nature of time and memory. Our minds are constantly recording and processing information, but we don't always have access to everything we've experienced. We might remember the end of a task, the middle, or the results, but the beginning can sometimes elude us. It's as if our minds choose which moments to highlight and which to let fade into the background. And in doing so, we lose track of those quiet moments when something new starts. Now think about how this plays out in other areas of life. In relationships, for example, it's easy to look back and see how things developed. But can you recall the exact moment you first met someone, or the precise time you began to feel a connection? It's as though certain moments are so subtle, so gradual, that they slip into the past without us fully realizing when they began. The same can be said for our personal growth. Have you ever looked back on your life and realized that you've changed, but can't quite remember when that change occurred. Maybe you've learned something new or developed a new habit, but the exact moment of transformation is lost to time. It's a silent origin, a shift that happened without you even noticing. This paradox also speaks to the way we experience memory. We tend to think of memory as a linear process. One thing happens, then another. But the reality is much more fluid. Memories can blur together, and moments can slip through the cracks. When you think about it, the beginning of many things in our lives may not be as clear as we'd like to believe. We start tasks, relationships, habits, all without fully being aware of when we took that first step. We might only realize much later that something has already begun, and by then, it's often too late to trace the exact starting point. And as we delve into the bigger themes, we can begin to connect this idea to larger questions about belief, perception, and even technology. In today's world, we are constantly surrounded by devices that track our actions and our time. Our phones, computers, and even our smartwatches keep detailed records of our lives, from when we wake up to when we go to bed. And yet, despite all this data, there are still moments in which we don't know how we started something. This is a curious paradox. We're constantly being monitored, yet we can't always remember how we began our actions. It raises questions about how much control we really have over our own lives, or how much of our experience is governed by forces outside our conscious awareness. But beyond technology, there's a deeper psychological layer to the silent origin. It speaks to our experience of life itself, the way we move through time and space, often unaware of the quiet moments that shape our lives. These moments remind us that not everything needs to be consciously initiated. Sometimes things begin without us noticing, and that's okay. It's part of the beauty of being human, the ability to start things, change, and grow, even when we're not fully aware of it. Have you ever had a moment like this, where you've started something but couldn't recall when or how it began? Maybe it was something simple, like reading a book, or something more significant, like a personal change you didn't notice happening. If you've had an experience like this, I'd love to hear about it. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's explore together this strange and mysterious aspect of our lives. How do you make sense of these silent beginnings, and what do they tell us about the way we experience the world around us? Echo, labyrinth. Have you ever been walking through your house, hearing a voice calling your name or speaking to you, only to realize as you round the corner that the voice is coming from your own lips? It's a strange, almost surreal experience. You could have sworn the voice was someone else's, clear and distinct, yet there you are, hearing your own words echoing back at you. It feels like a mystery unfolding right in front of you, a puzzle with no clear solution. You start to wonder, how could it be that the voice I heard wasn't someone else, but me? Was I speaking out loud without realizing it? Or is there something more to this strange occurrence, something hidden beneath the surface? It's the kind of moment that stops you in your tracks, leaving you with a sense of confusion and wonder. You might have been casually moving about, thinking you were alone, when this voice seemed to come from nowhere. Maybe it called your name, asked a question, or made a statement. You followed the sound only to discover that the voice you were chasing was your own. It's like hearing your own echo in a room, but this time the echo feels different. It's as if your own words somehow have taken on a life of their own. It's a disorienting feeling, to say the least. The strangest part is that you didn't hear yourself speak, at least not consciously. You were simply going about your day, lost in thought, or perhaps focused on something else entirely. And then, this voice, your voice, interrupted your thoughts, calling you to follow it. It feels like the moment when you step into a labyrinth, one where every turn leads you further down the path of uncertainty. You start moving in the direction of the sound, wondering where it will lead, only to find that the voice was you all along. It's easy to dismiss this experience as something trivial or simply a trick of the mind. Maybe you were tired or distracted. Maybe your mind was playing tricks on you, blending the lines between what's real and what's imagined. But the more you reflect on it, the more it feels like there's something deeper at play. Could it be that we're not always as aware of our own thoughts as we think we are? Could it be that we sometimes hear our own minds speaking to us, but in a way that feels unfamiliar, almost foreign? Think about it. How often do we truly listen to the inner dialogue we carry with us throughout the day? We're constantly thinking, processing, and reflecting on things, but how much of that inner conversation are we really aware of? It's easy to get caught up in external voices, those of other people, the world around us, yet our own voice, our own thoughts, often go unnoticed, even though they're the ones shaping our reality. In this sense, the echo labyrinth might not be so mysterious after all. It could simply be the product of our own minds, reaching out to us in ways we don't fully understand. For instance, think about how we talk to ourselves when we're anxious or stressed. We might say things like, "I can't do this," or "I'm not good enough," without even realizing the impact those words are having on us. We might not even hear them clearly, but they shape our thoughts and behaviors nonetheless. It's like walking through a house, hearing voices, only to realize the voices are coming from within, shaping the way we move, think, and feel. Our minds can be full of these quiet echoes, and sometimes they guide us without us even realizing it. This phenomenon can also happen in relationships. Have you ever had a conversation with someone only to find yourself repeating something they've said almost as if you've heard it before? Or perhaps you found yourself responding to a situation with words that seem to come from somewhere deep inside, words that are both familiar and foreign at the same time. It's as if the voice you're hearing is your own, yet you can't quite place when or how you began to speak in such a way. It's a strange feeling of disconnect, as though you're both the speaker and the listener, the one who is both hearing and saying the words. And this is where the paradox deepens. If the voice you hear is your own, why does it feel so unfamiliar? Why does it seem like it's coming from outside of you, guiding you down a path you didn't know you were on? Could it be that we're more disconnected from ourselves than we think? Perhaps we don't always fully recognize our own voice because we're so caught up in the noise of the world around us. We listen to external voices, whether it's the people in our lives, the media, or even social expectations. But we don't always take the time to listen to our own inner voice, the one that guides us, the one that knows us better than anyone else ever could. This idea brings us to bigger themes about the nature of identity and consciousness. When you follow that voice through the quiet house, are you simply following a familiar path, or is there something deeper at work? Are you being guided by your own thoughts, your own inner wisdom, or are you being pulled along by something outside of you? In a world where we are constantly bombarded by outside influences, it's easy to lose track of our own inner voice. We become so focused on external validation, on what others think and expect of us, that we forget to listen to the quiet whispers within. The echo you hear is your own, but it can be easy to mistake it for something else, especially when it feels unfamiliar or out of sync with what you expect. It also touches on a psychological aspect. The more we try to understand ourselves, the more complex we become. We often think we know ourselves well, but there are parts of us that remain hidden, parts of our minds that speak in ways we don't always fully comprehend. This experience of hearing a voice that seems to come from somewhere else is a reminder that we are not always fully in control of our own thoughts and actions. There are moments when our subconscious takes over, leading us down paths we might not have chosen consciously. It's as if our minds have a life of their own, one that we can't always track or predict. In the broader context of mental health, this idea is also relevant. Many of us struggle with internal dialogue that's not always kind or helpful. We can be our own harshest critics, constantly hearing negative thoughts and judgments from within. But just as easily, we can find moments of clarity, of wisdom, of peace, coming from our own inner voice. It's a delicate balance, and sometimes it takes a moment of quiet reflection to tune into the voice that's guiding us in the right direction. The echo labyrinth can be a reminder that, even in the most confusing moments, we have the capacity to find our way back to ourselves, to listen to the voice that knows us best. So, have you ever experienced a moment where you heard your own voice in such a strange way? Maybe it was a voice of doubt or encouragement, a whisper or a loud shout, but it felt like it came from outside of you. If you have, I'd love to hear about it. Share your thoughts or experiences in the comments below, and let's talk about how these moments of self-discovery can help us reconnect with our inner voice. After all, sometimes the answers we're looking for are already within us. We just need to listen a little more closely. Illusionary edge. Imagine this. You are walking down the street, mind occupied with the tasks ahead, your thoughts drifting somewhere far away. Suddenly you step forward, expecting to feel the firm, solid ground of the pavement beneath your feet. But instead, nothing. Your foot goes through empty space, and for a brief moment, the world around you pauses. You've just stepped off a curb that isn't there. There's a split second of disorientation, like time itself has bent and reshaped the world in front of you. It's as if the very ground has shifted, and you're caught in the middle of a reality that feels altered, unfamiliar. You quickly regain your balance, your heart racing, but that fleeting moment of confusion stays with you. How could this happen? Was it an illusion, or is there something deeper happening that you can't quite explain? This kind of experience might seem like a simple misstep, something easily brushed off as a momentary lapse in attention. But when you stop to think about it, something strange and mysterious lingers. How is it possible to step off something that wasn't there to begin with? It's a paradox of perception, a glimpse into the idea that perhaps reality isn't as solid and predictable as we believe it to be. The ground should have been there, solid and unwavering, yet in that instant, time itself reshaped the very pavement beneath your feet. The illusion isn't just about the missing curb, it's about the way reality seems to bend around you. This kind of experience is relatable in many ways. Have you ever been in the middle of something, maybe just going about your day, focused on a conversation or your thoughts, when suddenly something small but unsettling happens? Maybe you misplace your keys or forget what you were just about to say in the middle of a sentence. It's as if time stretches, creating a brief gap between your thoughts and the world around you. These moments can feel strange, like the universe is playing a small trick on you, blurring the lines between what is real and what is imagined. It's as though the fabric of time has shifted for just a moment, throwing you off balance. And yet, these moments are part of the everyday rhythm of life. They happen all the time, and often we don't think too much about them. We brush them aside, attributing them to distractions or tiredness. But what if these small fleeting moments aren't just random glitches? What if they're a hint that the world we experience isn't as stable as we think it is? The idea of stepping off a curb that isn't there suggests that the boundaries of our reality can sometimes blur, reshaping themselves in ways we can't fully grasp. To understand this, consider how we often perceive the passage of time. It feels linear, doesn't it? We wake up, go about our day, and then go to sleep, always expecting the next moment to follow the one before it. But there are times when time feels different. It stretches, it speeds up, it slows down. You've probably experienced those days when time seems to fly by, like hours turn into minutes, or when a slow moment feels like it drags on forever. In these moments, time doesn't behave the way we expect. It feels like it's reshaping itself, bending in and out of our perception. Just like the curb that wasn't there, time can sometimes feel like it's disappearing or rearranging itself in ways that don't make sense. Think about how, when you're deeply focused on something, maybe working on a project or lost in thought during a long walk, time seems to slip away unnoticed. You look at the clock and suddenly realize hours have passed. On the other hand, when you're waiting for something important, time can feel like it's standing still, as if the universe is purposely holding everything in place, forcing you to stay in that moment longer than you want. These shifts in how we experience time can feel like the world is being reshaped around us, just like stepping off a curb that isn't there. It's as though reality itself is playing with us, shifting and altering the ordinary course of events. This sense of shifting reality also connects to the way we experience memory. Have you ever remembered something, perhaps a conversation or an event, and felt like the details didn't quite line up with what you thought you knew? It's a small, subtle feeling, but it's there. It's as if your memory has reshaped the past, shifting the details just enough that it leaves you uncertain about what's real. In the same way that you might step off an invisible curb, you might find yourself stepping into a memory that feels incomplete, as if time itself has altered your perception of what happened. The mind has a way of reshaping memories, and sometimes it can make us question the reality we thought we knew. In a deeper sense, this idea of an illusionary edge speaks to the nature of belief. How often do we accept things at face value, believing in the consistency of our surroundings, our experiences, or even the people we interact with? We trust that the curb is where it's supposed to be, that the ground we walk on is solid, and that time will follow its usual course. But sometimes belief is tested. In those moments when something unexpected happens, when time seems to bend and reality seems to shift, we're reminded that what we see and believe might not always be the full picture. The edges of our reality, the places where we feel most certain, can suddenly feel less stable. It's a reminder that our perceptions, while important, are not always perfect or fixed. This concept also has implications for mental health. When we struggle with anxiety, depression, or other mental health challenges, time can feel distorted. A day might feel like a year, or a week might seem to pass in the blink of an eye. We might feel disconnected from the world around us, as if we're stepping off curbs that don't exist, or living in moments that don't feel real. These feelings can be unsettling, but they're also a sign that our minds are trying to make sense of something complex, something beyond our understanding. The idea of stepping off an invisible curb can be seen as a metaphor for those moments in life when our mental state feels disoriented or out of sync. In those moments, we may find ourselves questioning what's real, just like when time feels like it's reshaping itself. The paradox of stepping off an invisible curb is also something that can be explored in the context of technology and AI. As our world becomes increasingly influenced by digital spaces, the line between what is real and what is artificial can sometimes feel blurred. We see it in the way we interact with virtual environments, where what we see and experience might not always have a physical counterpart. In the same way that stepping off a curb that isn't there leaves you unsure of what's real, we might find ourselves questioning the reality of the digital world we're creating. What happens when technology reshapes our perceptions, just as time reshapes the pavement beneath us? This paradox can also offer insight into how we interact with the world around us. It can serve as a reminder that, just like when we step off a curb that isn't there, we are constantly navigating a world that is not always as solid or predictable as it may seem. Sometimes we have to embrace the uncertainty, the unknown, and trust that we will find our footing, even when the world around us feels like it's shifting. It's in these moments that we learn the most about ourselves and the way we perceive the world. Have you ever had an experience where the world around you seemed to shift unexpectedly, like stepping off a curb that wasn't there? Share your thoughts or experiences in the comments below, and let's connect over the mysterious illusionary moments that make us question the nature of reality itself. Temporal whisper. Have you ever found yourself humming a tune you've never heard before, only to realize that it feels oddly familiar? The melody sways through your thoughts, lingering in the back of your mind, as if it's been there all along. You can't place where it came from, but it feels as though you've known it for years. It's not a song from your past. It's a song that doesn't exist yet. This strange sensation, this brief moment when the present is tinged with something that feels like the future, is a kind of memory speaking softly of tomorrow. It's as though time itself is whispering something to you, something just beyond your reach, leaving you with a tune you haven't learned. It's a mysterious feeling, almost like a dream that's yet to unfold. How can we experience something before it happens? How can we hear a song or feel a memory before it even exists in our world? These questions may seem odd, but they tap into something deeply intriguing about how our minds process time and memory. For a moment, it feels as though you've been given a glimpse of a future moment, an echo of something yet to come. This paradox isn't just about a song that hasn't been learned. It's about the subtle, almost imperceptible ways in which time can blur. Think of those times when you've walked into a room and felt like you've been there before, even though you know that's impossible. The feeling comes on strong, and for a brief second, everything in the room seems familiar, as if you've lived that moment before, even though it's your first time experiencing it. It's like a soft whisper from another time, from a version of yourself that exists in the future, reaching back to remind you of what's to come. These kinds of experiences aren't just limited to music or rooms. They can show up in our everyday lives in countless ways. Perhaps you've had a conversation that felt like it was already scripted, where the words seemed to flow in a way that you couldn't have planned. Or maybe, when you're writing a paper or working on a project, an idea will come to you, perfectly, formed and fully developed, without any prior thought or effort. It's as if your mind is tapping into a place where the future and present meet, leaving you with a sense of déjà vu, as though the future is gently guiding you towards something you haven't yet experienced. These moments are subtle, quiet, and fleeting, yet they carry a sense of wonder. They remind us that the present moment isn't just isolated in time. It is connected to something much larger. Maybe it's a feeling of interconnectedness, where past, present, and future are more fluid than we tend to believe. In these moments, it feels as though time itself is a river, gently bending and flowing in ways that aren't always linear or predictable. The tune you're humming, the thought that came to you out of nowhere. These are echoes of a deeper reality, one that exists beyond the boundaries of time and space as we understand them. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever experienced something like this? Perhaps you've been in a situation where it felt like you already knew what was going to happen, or you had a sense of familiarity with something that had never occurred before. Share your experience in the comments below, or let us know if you've ever felt like time was playing a soft trick on you, connecting you to a future that hasn't arrived yet. This sense of time and memory crossing over is something that many of us experience, even if we don't always know what to make of it. So let's talk about it. Let's share those strange, beautiful moments that connect us in ways we might not fully understand. The idea of a temporal whisper speaks to something larger about how we understand the passage of time. We often think of time as something that moves forward, an unbreakable line stretching from the past into the future. But what if time isn't quite as straightforward as we think? What if it's more like a wave rolling in and out, sometimes carrying echoes of the past or whispers from the future? The concept of a memory speaking of tomorrow invites us to rethink how we experience time, not just as a linear sequence of events, but as something that can fold in on itself. A song from the future, a familiar feeling of déjà vu, might be glimpses into a reality that doesn't quite operate on the timeline we assume. This paradox can also bring us to think about belief. How often do we anchor ourselves to the belief that time is predictable? We rely on our past experiences to navigate the future, trusting that the next moment will be similar to the ones before it. Yet, these strange, inexplicable moments challenge that belief. How do we explain them? How do we explain a song that hasn't yet been written, or a memory that belongs to a future version of ourselves? These experiences ask us to loosen our grip on certainty and embrace the possibility that time may not be as fixed as we once believed. In the realm of mental health, moments like these can feel disorienting, but they can also be part of the process of self-discovery. When we feel overwhelmed or disconnected, it can sometimes seem like our experiences are out of sync with the world around us. Perhaps you've had those moments of feeling disconnected from your own life, as if you're watching yourself from the outside, unsure of how you arrived at where you are. It can be unsettling, like hearing a tune you haven't learned. But these moments of uncertainty can also be opportunities for growth. They remind us that we don't always have to have everything figured out, that the journey through life isn't always linear or predictable. Sometimes the most profound insights come when we least expect them, when we hum a tune we didn't know we'd be singing. The same could be said about our relationship with technology and AI. As we continue to create smarter, more intuitive systems, there's an underlying question. Are we moving towards a future that we've already glimpsed? Is it possible that the technology we're building today is merely a reflection of something that's yet to come? AI systems are designed to anticipate our needs, learn from our behaviors, and create solutions before we even realize we need them. It's as if they, too, are humming a tune we haven't yet learned, helping us navigate a future that feels just out of reach, even though it's already being shaped. In the end, the idea of a temporal whisper calls us to slow down and listen. It asks us to pay attention to the subtle moments when time feels like it's bending, when the past and future speak to us in ways we might not fully understand. It's an invitation to embrace the mystery of time, to acknowledge that there's so much more happening around us than we can see at first glance, and perhaps in the process, we'll learn to hum along with the tune, even if we don't know all the words yet. Memory fracture. Have you ever had a moment when a memory surfaces, but it feels incomplete? It might be a conversation you had with someone, a simple exchange of words that now lingers in your mind like a half-finished sentence. You can clearly recall the first part of the conversation, the tone of voice, the words spoken, and even the surroundings. But then, something strange happens. The rest of the conversation, the part that should come next, fills itself in your mind. It's as if your brain, on its own, starts to piece together the missing parts, completing the conversation in ways that feel both familiar and foreign at the same time. This experience, when a memory fractures and then repairs itself, is both intriguing and puzzling. It's as though our minds hold fragments of experiences that, once recalled, fit together like puzzle pieces we didn't even know were scattered. It's a strange moment of self-repair, as if our minds are doing the work of making sense of the past, even when we didn't consciously recognize that something was missing. This paradox of remembering only part of an event and having our minds fill in the rest invites us to consider how much of our reality is actually shaped by our own thoughts, beliefs, and perceptions. How much of what we remember is constructed, and how much is simply the result of our mind's tendency to complete an unfinished story. Think about a time when you were talking with a friend or colleague, and you remember the beginning of the conversation so clearly, the words, the emotions, the setting, but somewhere in the middle the details seem fuzzy. And then, out of nowhere, the rest of the conversation fills itself in. Your mind adds the missing words, the responses, and the feelings that should have followed. It's not a conscious effort, it just happens. Suddenly, you can hear the continuation of the dialogue in your mind, as if it had always been there, waiting to be recalled. For many of us, this experience can feel disorienting at first. How is it possible to recall only half of a conversation and then, moments later, have the rest of it unfold before us? What does this say about the way our minds process and store memories? Perhaps our brains are not merely passive recorders of events, but active participants in shaping and reshaping our experiences. We often think of memory as something fixed, like a photograph captured in time. But moments like these challenge that assumption. They remind us that memory is more fluid, more dynamic, and perhaps even more creative than we realize. These memory fractures aren't just about conversations or individual moments. They can appear in other parts of our lives as well. Perhaps you've experienced a similar sensation with an event, where you remember the beginning vividly, but the middle is a blur, and then suddenly the conclusion arrives in your mind, filling in all the gaps. Maybe it's a place you visited, a feeling you had, or a situation you encountered. There are countless ways our minds work to piece together fragmented memories, sometimes with surprising accuracy, other times with odd or unexpected details that we hadn't consciously noticed before. This process of filling in the blanks can lead us to question the nature of memory itself. We often think of memories as something we have no control over, a collection of snapshots from our past. But in reality, our brains are constantly reconstructing memories, pulling from bits and pieces of information and experiences, then stitching them together into a cohesive whole. In a way, these fractured memories might be less about what actually happened, and more about how we interpret and understand what happened. The way we remember things could be influenced by our emotions, our current thoughts, and even the stories we tell ourselves about who we are. Memory, then, becomes not just a record of the past, but a living, breathing process that shapes our understanding of reality. It's also worth considering how these moments of memory fracture can affect our sense of self. When a memory appears incomplete, it can feel as though a part of us is missing. We may question whether we've truly experienced something or if our mind has simply created a story to fill in the gaps. This uncertainty can lead to a deeper exploration of our own identities. How much of who we are is based on the memories we carry with us, and how much is shaped by the memories we've yet to form? The act of remembering itself can be an act of creation, as we shape our understanding of the past and, in turn, shape our present and future selves. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever experienced a memory fracture, where part of the memory was clear but the rest seemed to fill itself in later? Maybe it was a conversation, a moment from your childhood, or an experience that seemed to evolve in your mind over time. If so, share your story in the comments below. Let's connect and explore these strange and fascinating experiences together as we try to understand the deeper mysteries of memory and the mind. There's something universally relatable about the way our minds fill in the gaps, and perhaps that's why these experiences can feel so uncanny. It's easy to believe that our memories are fixed, that the past exists in a certain way. But moments like these challenge that idea. Our memories are not static. They are active, ever-changing, and constantly reshaping themselves. The more we reflect on these moments of memory fracture, the more we realize that memory is not just about the past. It's about how we relate to that past in the present. On a larger scale, this phenomenon touches on our beliefs and how we interpret the world around us. Memory is not just a passive experience. It's an active process that influences how we see ourselves and our place in the world. Our memories help us understand who we are, but they can also limit us, especially when we rely too heavily on them to define us. If our memories are incomplete or even distorted, how much of who we think we are is truly accurate? How much of our identity is constructed, and how much is based on the selective remembering of events and experiences? Mental health is another area where this paradox of memory fractures can have a profound impact. Our memories, both the ones we remember clearly and the ones that remain fragmented, shape how we see the world and ourselves. For someone struggling with anxiety or depression, memories can be distorted, colored by negative emotions or self-doubt. In these cases, fractured memories may contribute to a sense of disorientation or confusion, making it difficult to trust one's own mind. But it's also important to recognize that memory can be a source of healing. As we work to process and make sense of past experiences, we can learn to reconstruct our memories in ways that empower us, helping us move forward with a clearer sense of self and purpose. Finally, as we think about memory in the context of artificial intelligence, we begin to see another layer to this paradox. AI systems are designed to store and retrieve information, but they don't remember in the way humans do. Instead, they rely on data and algorithms to piece together patterns and responses. But what if AI could experience something like a memory fracture, where the data it processes is incomplete or evolves over time? How would it fill in those gaps? While this might sound like science fiction, it touches on the larger conversation about how memory works, both in humans and in machines. As technology continues to evolve, the lines between human and machine memory may blur, leading to new and unexpected ways of understanding and interacting with the world. The concept of memory fracture reminds us that the mind is not a passive observer of our past. It is an active participant in the ongoing process of shaping our reality. Whether we're recalling a conversation, a place, or an experience, our minds are constantly working to complete the story, even when the details are missing. This process of memory construction is one of the most mysterious and powerful aspects of the human experience. It's a reminder that our memories are not just what we remember. They are what we make of them. And in doing so, we shape our understanding of ourselves and the world around us. Unseen bridge. Have you ever walked through a place, perhaps in nature or even in a city, and felt like you were crossing a gap, an invisible one? Imagine stepping forward, feeling the air around you shift, and yet there's no visible path or bridge before you, and yet your feet find solid ground as if guided by something you can't see. The strange part is, you don't question it. Your step, though uncertain at first, feels natural, as if some invisible force is helping you cross that gap. It's as if an unseen bridge forms beneath you, guiding your way even when you can't see it. Does that ever feel familiar? This strange experience of walking across an invisible gap, feeling the guidance of a pathway you can't see, is not just a mysterious sensation. It taps into a deeper part of us. In moments like these, we find ourselves trusting in something beyond what our eyes can show us. It's a paradox, isn't it? We rely on our senses to navigate the world, yet there are moments when those senses feel incomplete or overwhelmed. In those moments, we may feel the presence of something else, something subtle and invisible, yet somehow deeply real. Think about it for a moment. Have you ever felt a strange sense of direction when you were walking somewhere unfamiliar? Perhaps you were in a new neighborhood or on a trail you'd never taken before. At first, it might have felt like you were walking blindly, unsure of where you were going. But then, something shifted. It was as if the path began to appear beneath your feet, even though there was no obvious reason for it. You felt a quiet sense of knowing, a kind of certainty that carried you across what once seemed like a gap. You weren't stepping off a cliff, but in that moment, you trusted that you wouldn't. Something was guiding you through the uncertainty. There's a quiet wonder in these moments, isn't there? It's the feeling that even when we can't see the path, we're still moving forward. And in that uncertainty, there's trust. Trust that the next step will be taken, even if we can't yet see where it will lead. It's like having a soft belief that the invisible pathway is there, even though the mind may doubt it. These experiences, though subtle, speak to something profound about the way we navigate life itself. This phenomenon also shows us how our minds work in mysterious ways. Often we approach life with expectations of what we can see, feel, or measure. Our senses guide us, and our logical mind seeks clarity and certainty. But what happens when our perception of the world starts to stretch beyond what we can see? The unseen bridge reminds us that our experience of reality is not always limited to the tangible. There's something more, something that exists between the gaps in the spaces we can't yet explain. These gaps, whether they are physical, emotional, or mental, are places where we often feel uncertain. Life is full of them. For example, when you're facing a big decision, there's often no clear path ahead. You may not know the exact steps to take, but something deep inside of you pushes you forward. It's the quiet voice that says, "Trust the process," even when you can't see how things will unfold. This invisible guidance feels like stepping across a gap with confidence, even when the path isn't obvious. In moments like these, you might feel that you are being led by an unseen bridge that helps you move forward when the way ahead is unclear. This unseen bridge doesn't only appear in moments of physical uncertainty, it also appears in emotional and mental challenges. Think about a time when you were struggling with something personal. Maybe it was a relationship, or perhaps a difficult decision that weighed on you. You might have felt like you were walking in the dark, unsure of where to go next. Yet somehow, through those challenges, you found your way. Even if you couldn't see the next step, something inside of you guided you forward. The invisible pathway, in this case, was your own inner strength, your resilience, or your ability to keep going even when the way ahead seemed unclear. This paradox of the unseen bridge invites us to reflect on the nature of trust and belief. It reminds us that not everything in life is about seeing the path clearly in front of us. Sometimes the most important steps we take are the ones we make without knowing exactly where they will lead. These moments of stepping across invisible gaps challenge us to question how much we rely on what we can see and how much we rely on what we feel. Our senses are powerful, but they are not the only way to navigate the world. In fact, the unseen bridge touches on a larger theme: how belief and intuition play a role in our lives. We often think of belief as something rooted in faith, religion, or philosophy, but it's also deeply tied to how we interact with the world around us. When we cross a gap without stepping on an obvious path, we are relying not just on our eyes, but on a kind of inner belief. It's a belief in the process of life itself, a belief that the universe will provide the right conditions for us to move forward, even when we can't see the way ahead. These moments of invisible guidance, though mysterious, are deeply familiar to those who trust in the process of life. They show us that even in times of uncertainty, there is a way forward if we are open to it. We can think of this unseen bridge in terms of how we view our place in the world. How much of our journey is shaped by the visible world and how much is guided by what we can't see. Whether it's a small moment of intuition or a larger, life-changing decision, there are invisible forces at work in our lives that help guide us across gaps. These forces may be rooted in our own inner wisdom, the support of others, or simply the flow of life itself. And while we might not always understand them, they are often there, helping us find our way when the path isn't clear. This concept can also extend to our understanding of language, belief, and even technology. In language, we often rely on subtle cues, the tone of voice, the context, and the unspoken understanding between individuals to communicate meaning. We don't always need to see every word or every gesture clearly to understand what is being communicated. Similarly, in technology, we interact with systems that are invisible but very real, whether it's the internet, software, or artificial intelligence. These systems guide our actions in ways we don't always see, yet they shape our reality. Mental health is another area where the idea of the unseen bridge can be meaningful. Many people navigate life's challenges without a clear roadmap, especially when it comes to emotional well-being. Anxiety, for example, can make the future feel uncertain, and depression can create a sense of distance from the world. Yet, in the midst of these challenges, people often find ways to keep going. Even when the path is unclear, there is often an unseen strength that keeps them moving forward. This invisible pathway is not always easy to see, but it is present, helping individuals move through difficult moments. The idea of the unseen bridge also connects to our modern understanding of artificial intelligence. In AI, much of the guidance that systems provide comes from algorithms and data that we cannot always see or fully understand. These systems process information in ways that are invisible to us, and yet they help guide our decisions and actions. This mirrors the invisible pathways in our own lives. Just as we trust AI systems to help us navigate the digital world, we also rely on invisible forces in our own lives to help guide us through uncertainty. So when you find yourself standing at the edge of an unknown gap, whether it's a decision, a challenge, or an uncertain path, remember that there's often more than what meets the eye. Trust in the unseen bridge beneath your feet, even if you can't see it yet. It's there, helping you cross from one moment to the next, guiding you forward in ways you may not always understand. And as you take that next step, remember that sometimes the greatest leaps come when we trust in the invisible paths that guide us, even when we can't see them clearly. Present, past. Have you ever taken a bite of a childhood snack, something you haven't tasted in years, and felt as though time itself had bent around you? Suddenly, you're not just eating, you're reliving those moments from your past, feeling the weight of memories rush back as if you've stepped into a different version of yourself. You're sitting there in the present, but for a brief moment, you are 10 years younger, tasting the same flavors, hearing the same sounds, and feeling the same emotions you did all those years ago. It's as if your past and present collide in that one simple act of eating. Isn't that strange? That something so simple, just a snack, can bring your childhood rushing back with such vividness. It's a fascinating and almost surreal experience. One bite, and suddenly you're swept away in a tide of memories. You might not have expected it, but there it is. This bridge between the present and the past, created by the flavors of a snack that's become a small, delicious time machine. It's as if the taste somehow unlocks a portal to another time, a time when life felt simpler, when those snacks were more than just food. They were comfort, joy, and connection. Maybe you remember sharing them with friends or eating them alone while watching your favorite show. No matter how much time has passed, the taste of that snack connects you to a version of yourself that was once carefree and innocent. These moments are so powerful because they remind us how strongly our senses are tied to memory. We think of memories as something stored in our minds, but in truth, our senses, smell, touch, sound, and especially taste, have the incredible ability to bring the past to life. A certain smell might remind you of your grandmother's house, or the sound of rain might take you back to a time when you were a child, listening to the pitter-patter on your window. In this case, it's the taste that serves as a bridge. One taste, and suddenly you're not just reliving the flavor, you're reliving the feelings, the moments, and the life you once lived. Think about it. When was the last time you ate something from your childhood? Maybe it was a candy you used to get at the corner store, or a treat your parents used to bring home. In that moment, you might have felt a sense of warmth, nostalgia, or even a little sadness. These are more than just memories. They're sensations. The taste of that food carries with it a whole world of experiences that you may have forgotten, or at least pushed to the back of your mind. But in that one bite, it's as though the past rushes forward, and for a brief moment, you are once again the person you were back then, full of the same hopes, dreams, and innocence. It's easy to overlook how much our senses shape our perception of time. We tend to think of time in linear terms: yesterday, today, tomorrow. But in moments like these, the idea of time starts to bend. You taste something from the past and suddenly you're transported. It's not just a memory, it's a feeling, a whole experience. The paradox lies in the fact that time feels like it has collapsed in on itself. You're here, in the present, but you also feel like you're there, in the past, all at once. There's something almost magical about it, isn't there? It's like a momentary suspension of time itself, where the present and past exist simultaneously in your mind. This experience speaks to something deeper within us. How connected we are to our past, even when we don't realize it. Our past doesn't just live in our memories. It lives in our senses, in the things we see, hear, touch, and taste. These sensory triggers can reach into our minds and pull up emotions, experiences, and identities that we've long forgotten. The taste of that childhood snack might remind you not just of the food itself, but of the person you were when you first ate it, the child full of curiosity, hope, and excitement. It's as if your memories are not locked away in your mind, but are intertwined with your body, your senses, and the world around you. It also makes us realize how much we are shaped by the experiences of our past. The way we view the world, the way we react to situations, even the way we form relationships, is often influenced by those early memories. In a way, those childhood snacks are more than just food. They are symbols of a time in our lives that shaped who we are today. When you taste them, it's as though you are reconnecting with a part of yourself that has been hidden, a part that still holds the innocence and wonder of youth. What's even more interesting is how this experience ties into our concept of self. We often think of ourselves as static, as if who we are today is the sum total of our past. But in moments like this, when the past rushes in with the taste of something familiar, we are reminded that we are always evolving. We carry the past with us, but we are not defined by it. The person you are today is different from the person you were 10 years ago, but there is still a part of you that remains the same. That part of you, the one who felt joy from the taste of a childhood snack, is still there, quietly waiting for a moment to resurface. It's in these small, seemingly insignificant moments that we catch a glimpse of the person we used to be, and it's in those moments that we realize just how far we've come. This paradox of the present and the past also speaks to a deeper aspect of our mental and emotional health. We often try to move forward in life, leaving the past behind, thinking that we have to let go of old memories to grow. But in reality, our past is never truly gone. It's always with us, influencing the way we think, feel, and act. The taste of that childhood snack doesn't just remind us of a moment in time. It reminds us of a version of ourselves that still exists within us, in our memories, our feelings, and even our senses. It's a reminder that the past is not something we have to forget in order to move forward. Instead, it is something we can carry with us, allowing it to shape who we are, in a healthy, balanced way. In fact, the paradox of the present and the past also touches on how we process our emotions. Sometimes, when we face challenges or difficult moments in life, we may feel disconnected from the person we once were. But when we reconnect with those sensory memories, whether it's through a childhood snack, a song, or a smell, we are reminded that we haven't lost who we are. We are still the person who experienced those moments, and those experiences have shaped us in ways we may not always realize. It's as if our memories act as a bridge between who we were and who we are now, helping us navigate the present by remembering where we came from. There's also a deeper philosophical question that arises from this experience. What is the nature of time itself? We often think of time as something linear, past, present, future. But in moments like this, when the past feels as if it's alive in the present, we start to wonder if time is really as straightforward as we think. Maybe time is more like a fluid, shifting experience, one that we can tap into when we least expect it. Maybe our memories aren't just remnants of the past, but living parts of us that are always accessible, waiting to resurface when we need them. So, the next time you take a bite of a childhood snack, and you feel a rush of memories flood back, don't be surprised. It's not just the food you're tasting, it's a connection to the past, a taste of who you once were, and a reminder of how far you've come. It's a beautiful, mysterious experience that shows us how much of our past lives within us, shaping our present in ways we might never fully understand. But perhaps that's the magic of it all, the way the present can unexpectedly meet the past in a single, simple moment. Future glimpse. Have you ever woken up from a dream, shaken by how real it felt, only to find that months later you're living out the exact scene you dreamt? It's as though your sleep gave you a preview of the future, as if your mind somehow caught a glimpse of what was to come. You go through your day, and suddenly, the moment arrives. The same people, the same setting, even the same words spoken. It's almost impossible to believe. But the more you try to shake the feeling, the more you realize how eerily accurate your dream was. Have you ever experienced something like this? A dream that seemed so vivid, so real, that you couldn't help but wonder if your mind was trying to tell you something? Or maybe, just maybe, it had already seen the future. If this has ever happened to you, you're not alone. Many people have experienced these moments when life feels like it's playing out, a scene they've already lived, just in their dreams. This strange feeling, the sudden recognition of a future event, seems almost like magic. But there's something deeper at play here. It's not just the coincidence of seeing something in a dream that later unfolds in real life. It's the mystery of how our minds might hold knowledge of events before they happen. How is it that a scene from the future, one that you hadn't planned or thought about, can show up in your dreams, almost as if it were waiting for you? It's easy to brush off these experiences as mere coincidences, as though our brains are just good at pattern recognition. After all, we dream about so many things. Some of them are bound to happen. But if you've ever experienced a dream that felt so incredibly specific, down to the tiniest detail, you might find it hard to simply dismiss it. Perhaps it's the vividness of the moment that catches you off guard. Maybe it's the sensation of déjà vu, where you swear you've seen this before, but you're not sure when or how. This paradox, dreaming of something and then living it months later, leaves us with more questions than answers. Think about it for a moment. Have you ever been in a conversation with someone and suddenly the words they speak sound like they're straight out of a dream you had a few months ago? Maybe you were sitting in a cafe sipping your coffee, and as they spoke, you realized that this exact moment had been in your dream. You might have brushed it off at first, thinking it was just a trick of the mind. But then it happens again. Another dream comes to life, another piece of your future unfolding before your eyes. It's like you're living in a movie, where the scenes you've imagined become reality, and you can't quite figure out how or why. This experience is not just an odd quirk of the mind, it's a reminder of how little we truly understand about the mind's connection to time and perception. Our brains are powerful, mysterious organs, capable of processing an immense amount of information in ways we don't fully comprehend. Could it be that our dreams are more than just random images and thoughts? Could they actually serve as glimpses into the future, tiny fragments of time that our subconscious is able to access, even before we're aware of them? It's fascinating when you think about how our dreams might bridge the gap between what we know and what we don't know. Maybe your dream wasn't just a random sequence of events. Maybe, in some way, it was a warning or a guide, a subconscious map of the future, offering you a sense of what's to come. And perhaps there's something profound in this experience, something that suggests time is not as linear as we often believe. The past, present, and future could be more interconnected than we realize, with our dreams acting as a kind of link between them. To make it even more intriguing, consider how this paradox relates to our understanding of memory and identity. If you've ever experienced a dream that later became your reality, you've probably wondered how it fits into your memory. Do you remember the dream as a prediction? Or do you begin to remember the event itself as part of your dream? It's almost as though the boundary between reality and dream becomes blurry. The future feels like it's already etched in your mind, waiting to unfold, and when it does, it doesn't feel like a surprise. It feels like a moment you've already lived in another time. It's in these moments that we are forced to confront the mystery of human consciousness. How is it that we can know something before it happens, even in the most subtle ways? Is it possible that our brains, constantly processing information, can pick up on patterns and signs that we are not consciously aware of? Perhaps our dreams serve as a kind of rehearsal for future events, preparing us mentally for things we don't yet understand. It's a humbling thought, the idea that our minds are working in the background, processing the future even before we've had the chance to experience it. This paradox also touches on the way we perceive time itself. We tend to think of time as a straight line with a clear beginning and end. But these experiences of dreaming about the future challenge that notion. If we can dream about events that have not yet occurred, what does that say about the nature of time? Could time be more fluid, more intertwined than we ever imagined? Perhaps the boundaries we place between past, present, and future are simply constructs, ways to make sense of our experience in a world that's much more complex than we realize. For some, these future glimpses in dreams can be unsettling, even a little unsettling. The feeling that you are somehow connected to events before they happen can raise more questions than answers. Is it a coincidence? A fluke? Or is there something more to it? Something deeper and more mysterious? The idea that your mind can predict the future, even in small ways, is enough to make anyone wonder about the true nature of reality. But what if these dreams are not just random? What if they are trying to tell us something? In a world that often feels chaotic and unpredictable, it's comforting to think that our minds might have a deeper understanding of the world around us, an understanding that transcends time itself. These glimpses into the future could serve as a kind of reassurance, a reminder that we are more connected to the world than we might think. They might be offering us subtle guidance, helping us navigate the path ahead with a little more confidence and clarity. It's important to acknowledge that these experiences of future glimpses don't always come with an obvious explanation. For some, they may be mere coincidences, while for others, they are moments of profound meaning. Whether you view these moments as a mystery or as a part of your own personal journey, they offer an opportunity for introspection. How do you perceive time? How do you make sense of the experiences that feel like they are coming from a place beyond the present moment? In the end, the paradox of dreaming the future invites us to reconsider how we view ourselves and the world around us. It encourages us to explore the boundaries between the known and the unknown, to think about how our minds might be capable of more than we realize. And perhaps most importantly, it reminds us that even though we may not fully understand the mechanics of time or the nature of our dreams, they are an essential part of the human experience. They help us connect with ourselves, with our past, and with the possibilities of the future. Shadow sequence. Imagine walking down a hallway, moving along with a sense of purpose, yet there's something unsettling about the situation. You glance to your side, only to see your own silhouette ahead of you, guiding your steps, even before your body catches up. Your shadow seems to have a life of its own, moving slightly ahead of you, as though it knows the way before you do. There is a strange feeling of déjà vu, as though the path is already set, and you're simply following the trace left by something unseen. But how can that be? How is it that your shadow appears to lead you, like a whisper of an action before you take it? Have you ever experienced this eerie sensation where your own silhouette seems to be in front of you, urging you on, as though it's somehow anticipating the steps you will take next? If you've ever walked through a darkened room only to catch a glimpse of your own shadow ahead of you, you've felt it. This surreal sense of movement before the action itself. It's almost as if your shadow is a silent guide, a premonition of the steps yet to come. And in those quiet, reflective moments, you might wonder, does your shadow truly lead? Or are you simply following a sequence already laid out for you? The paradox of the shadow sequence stirs something deep within us. It speaks to the curious way in which we perceive ourselves, our movements, and our relationship to time. Could it be that we are more connected to the future than we think? That somehow, even our shadows know what comes next before our conscious minds are fully aware? There's a mystery in the way our bodies move through space. Often, we think of our actions as separate from the world around us. We are aware of what we're doing, each step purposeful, each moment controlled. But in this strange experience, when your shadow seems to anticipate your every move, you are reminded of something deeper. The connection between your physical body and the energy it gives off is not as simple as we assume. Our shadows are silent companions, following us through every moment, yet rarely do we consider their role. They linger in the background of our lives, always present, yet never fully in the foreground of our consciousness. But what if there's more to them? What if they are more than just a result of light? What if they have their own kind of awareness? Picture yourself in a quiet hallway, the lights casting long shadows across the floor. As you walk, you glance at your silhouette, and for a brief moment, it seems as though your shadow takes the lead, moving ahead of you, perhaps even gently guiding you. This experience is so subtle, yet so powerful, that it leaves you wondering if the path you are walking has already been set in motion. It's not something you can easily explain, but the feeling is there, hanging in the air, a sense that you are being led, even though you are the one in control. It's as though your body and your shadow are in a silent partnership, a dance where each step is in sync, even though you haven't consciously willed it to be so. This paradox touches on the idea of time, perception, and the nature of our actions. Often, we experience time in a linear fashion, past, present, future. We understand that our present actions lead to future consequences, but in this moment of the shadow sequence, that linear relationship seems to blur. Your shadow moves ahead of you, suggesting a future that has yet to unfold. It's as though time is moving backward, with the future guiding the present rather than the other way around. This subtle shift in perception brings with it a deep sense of wonder. What if the sequence of events we believe is set in stone is, in fact, being influenced by forces beyond our conscious understanding? Think of moments in your life when you've had an intuitive feeling, when you felt like you were in the right place at the right time, or when a decision you made felt strangely certain, even though the outcome was uncertain. Perhaps you've made a choice without fully understanding why, only to discover later that it was exactly the right one. Could it be that our shadows, with their silent guidance, are somehow connected to these moments of clarity, these sudden flashes of understanding? Maybe the sequence of actions we take is not entirely random. Maybe it's as though the shadow, the unseen part of us, already knows where we need to go, even before we do. This idea brings us to the question of our own consciousness. How much of our awareness is truly our own, and how much is shaped by influences we cannot see or understand? Our bodies move through space, guided by an internal rhythm, a pulse of energy that drives us forward. But could it be that the shadow, the reflection of our being, is somehow guiding us in ways we don't recognize? In these moments, when we feel as though we are being led by an invisible force. We might find ourselves questioning the nature of free will. Are we truly in control of our actions? Or is there something greater at play? Something we can't yet understand? The paradox of the shadow sequence also speaks to the deep connection we share with the world around us. In everyday life, we often move through the world as if we are separate from it, as if we are actors on a stage performing our roles. But the more we observe our shadows, the more we might realize that we are part of something greater, something interconnected. Our actions are not isolated. They ripple through the world, influencing and being influenced by forces we cannot always see. The shadow, in this sense, becomes a metaphor for the unseen connections that bind us to the universe, to time, and to each other. It reminds us that there is more to our experience than meets the eye. In our fast-paced lives, we often forget to pause and reflect on the mysteries that surround us. We are too focused on the immediate, on the tasks ahead, on the things that demand our attention. Yet, in these quiet moments, when we observe the shadow ahead of us, we are invited to slow down and consider the deeper layers of our existence. The experience of the shadow sequence is a reminder to stay present, to recognize the subtle signs that guide us, even when we are unaware. It's an invitation to listen to the quiet voice of the world around us, to acknowledge the silent pathways that lead us forward, even when we don't fully understand where they are taking us. Perhaps in the end, the shadow sequence is a metaphor for the way we move through life. We walk, we act, we make decisions, and sometimes it feels as though we are being guided by something greater than ourselves. The shadow, with its quiet presence, teaches us to trust the unseen, to recognize that not everything in life needs to be understood in order to be meaningful. Sometimes the path ahead is already set, even if we can't see it. And our shadows, silent, patient, and always ahead of us, are there to lead the way. Infinite flicker. Have you ever watched a candle flame flicker, only to blink out for just a moment and then reignite, as though nothing happened? In that brief pause, something strange seems to happen. Time itself appears to hesitate, just for the tiniest instant, and the world around it seems to follow suit. It's as if the universe took a breath, allowing that small moment to exist outside of time. When the flame returns, it feels as though it was never gone. Yet in the stillness, something shifts. The world resumes as it was, but the memory of that pause lingers in your mind. This experience, so brief and fleeting, can make you wonder, could there be more to that flicker than meets the eye? Maybe you've seen this flicker before, when you're lost in thought, or even while sitting quietly in a dimly lit room. The candle flickers, and for a moment it seems like time itself pauses. You might have felt that strange, inexplicable sensation that accompanies these moments. The feeling that, in that flicker, something shifted. It could have been something small or large, something noticeable or something so subtle that you couldn't quite place it. But the flicker of the candle's flame, its brief disappearance and return, can feel almost like a glitch in the fabric of time, as if time itself couldn't quite keep up with the fleeting nature of that tiny glow. This paradoxical flicker makes you reflect on something bigger than just a candle flame. What is time, really? We often think of time as a continuous, unstoppable force, moving forward, never looking back. Yet, moments like these challenge that perception. How can time pause for the tiniest fraction of a second? How is it that something so small, a flickering flame, can cause such a ripple in our awareness of the passage of time? And more importantly, what does this flicker mean for how we experience life and the moments we live in? We've all experienced a pause, a moment where time seems to stretch out beyond its usual limits. It might happen when you're lost in a memory, thinking of something from the past, or perhaps when you find yourself waiting for something to happen. But it's different when time seems to pause in a physical world event, like a candle flicker. It's as though the universe itself is telling you to slow down and observe the world around you in a different way. Perhaps, for that 1 second, time stops to remind you of the beauty and the fleeting, the temporary, and the delicate nature of life itself. In everyday life, it's easy to get caught up in the rush of things, in the need to move from one task to another, always pushing forward without much thought. We go from one thing to the next without giving much attention to the space in between. But in moments like these, when the candle flickers, time seems to offer us a pause, a chance to breathe and reflect. It's as if life itself is asking us to step back and pay attention to the small things, the unnoticed moments that we often overlook in our quest to move forward. The flicker of the flame is a subtle reminder to stop, to observe, and to take in the beauty of the present moment, no matter how small or fleeting it may be. These tiny moments that seem to disrupt the flow of time also make us think about how we experience the passage of time in our minds. Our perception of time is not always linear. We may have moments where it feels like time moves quickly, and others when it feels like it's standing still. It's a strange thing, how time can bend and stretch depending on how we're feeling or what we're experiencing. A minute can feel like an hour when we're waiting for something, or it can slip by in the blink of an eye when we're lost in something we enjoy. The flicker of the candle is just one example of how time, though seemingly fixed, can feel so malleable in our lives. Have you ever had a moment when something small, like a sound or a glance, seemed to change everything in that brief instant? Maybe it was a memory triggered by a smell or a thought that suddenly came to you out of nowhere. These are the moments that remind us how fragile and unpredictable time can be. One small thing can change the entire course of a moment, making it feel as though time itself has shifted. And the flicker of the candle, with its tiny pause, mirrors that sense of uncertainty, of not quite knowing what is coming next, but feeling that something is changing in the space between. What's fascinating about these pauses is that they don't just affect our perception of time. They also change the way we experience the present moment. When you see a candle flicker and vanish, only to return moments later, it feels like something has changed within you, even if only for an instant. It's as though that flicker is a bridge between two worlds, one where time is continuous and steady, and one where time can pause, even if for just a moment. That brief change can be enough to make you see the world in a different way. You start to wonder, how often do we experience these small moments, and how much do we overlook them because we're too focused on the future or the past? There's also a connection to the concept of memory in this paradox. When the flame flickers and time seems to pause, you might find that your mind starts to wander, considering moments from your past, or perhaps projecting into your future. It's as if that flicker triggers something in your mind, opening a window to memories or ideas that were lying dormant just a moment before. Time in that flicker doesn't just stop. It seems to fold in on itself, allowing you to experience something beyond the present. It's a reminder that the past, present, and future are all connected in ways we don't fully understand. In a world that moves so quickly, with our attention constantly pulled in different directions, the flicker of the flame gives us a chance to pause and reflect. It asks us to consider how we experience time, how we allow ourselves to be swept along by it, and how often we miss the quiet moments that can shape our lives. The next time you see a candle flicker, take a moment to notice it. Allow yourself to breathe in the stillness, to let the pause wash over you. In that tiny flicker, you might just find a moment of peace, a tiny window into the infinite possibilities of the present, where time doesn't just move forward, but exists in the spaces in between. Hidden echo. Have you ever been walking down a quiet street or sitting alone in a room when you suddenly hear someone call your name, only to turn around and find no one there? The sound is unmistakable. Your name is called softly, almost tenderly. It resonates in your ears, clear and distinct, as if someone were standing right beside you. Yet, when you look around, there's no one to be seen. The air is still and the silence returns, leaving you standing there in confusion, wondering whether you just imagined it. It's a strange feeling, one that lingers long after the moment has passed. How is it that you can hear something that isn't there? How can your own name echo through the air when no one is around to speak it? This experience, though unsettling, is far more common than we might realize. There are times when we hear voices or sounds that don't seem to have any physical source. They're like whispers in the wind, fleeting, faint, yet undeniable. It's not just a random occurrence, but something that feels deeply personal, as if the universe itself is trying to tell you something. You might have experienced this during a quiet moment, perhaps when you were lost in thought or feeling particularly introspective. Or maybe it happened when you were tired, or when the world around you felt unusually still. The echo of your name, called softly, might seem like a simple oddity, but it's a puzzle that touches something much deeper about our perceptions of reality. When you hear your name in a moment of solitude, it can feel like a whisper from another world, a signal from the unseen, or even a call from within yourself. You might wonder in that instant if it's a part of you reaching out, or if something beyond your understanding is trying to get your attention. It's a paradox that challenges our understanding of space, time, and consciousness. How is it possible to hear something that doesn't exist in the present moment? And why does it feel so real, so vivid, even though no one is there to speak? In these moments, you may find yourself searching for an explanation. Could it be a trick of the mind? Perhaps a fragment of a memory, or an echo of a conversation from long ago, rising up uninvited. Or maybe it's something more, something that stirs the imagination, nudging us to think about the mysteries of existence, about the unseen forces that shape our lives. Is it possible that the mind, in its infinite complexity, can conjure such vivid experiences? And if so, why does it feel so real? You're not alone in experiencing this kind of phenomenon. Many people report hearing their name called when no one is around. It's a sensation that transcends culture, time, and place. In some traditions, it's thought to be a sign of a spiritual presence or a message from beyond. In others, it may be viewed as a sign of an impending change, or a moment of self-reflection. But no matter how you interpret it, there's a common thread: the feeling that something deeper is at play, something that goes beyond the physical world we can see and touch. These experiences are a reminder that there's more to reality than meets the eye, more layers, more dimensions, more mysteries waiting to be explored. Think about a moment in your own life when you felt a sudden, inexplicable presence. Maybe you were walking alone at night, or lying in bed, just before drifting off to sleep. The air felt different, as if something invisible was in the room with you. And then, out of nowhere, you hear a soft sound. Your name, called gently, just like a whisper carried by the wind. It's a fleeting moment, and yet it's so powerful. It shakes you, and for a moment, you wonder if it's a sign or a coincidence. But in the stillness, you can't deny that something has shifted. In that instant, you've crossed into a space where the boundaries between the seen and unseen blur, where reality becomes a little more fluid. This phenomenon is a reminder of how much we don't fully understand about the mind, perception, and reality. We tend to think of ourselves as grounded in the present moment, living in the now. But what if our minds are constantly reaching into the past or the future? What if our consciousness is not confined to the present moment, but stretches and weaves through different points in time, connecting us to moments we can't always explain? Could it be that hearing your name called in those quiet moments is a glimpse into a deeper layer of existence? Perhaps it's a message from your future self, or a forgotten part of your past. Or maybe it's a nudge from the universe, reminding you that you're connected to something greater than yourself, something vast and mysterious. We might dismiss these experiences as mere tricks of the mind, but they leave a lingering impression. They make us question what's real, what's possible, and what we truly understand about the world around us. How often do we overlook the subtle signs and signals that the universe sends our way? How many times do we dismiss the inexplicable? Sounds, feelings, or thoughts that come to us in quiet moments, thinking they are just coincidences or fleeting thoughts. In doing so, we may be missing out on the deeper connections that lie just beneath the surface of our everyday lives. This paradox also has a connection to the way we think about time and memory. Our minds are constantly in motion, processing past experiences, planning for the future, and navigating the present. But what if those moments, those fleeting sounds and sensations, are reminders of something outside the flow of linear time? What if, In those brief instances, time bends and reveals itself in a way we can't fully comprehend. The name you hear, called softly, could it be that your mind is reaching into the past, pulling up a memory from long ago? Or could it be a whisper from the future, a fleeting moment of déjà vu, a memory yet to come? It's a thought-provoking idea, and it reminds us how much there is still to learn about the nature of consciousness and reality. The next time you hear your name called in the quiet of the night, take a moment to pause. Don't just dismiss it as a trick of the mind. Instead, embrace the mystery. Let it remind you that the world is full of hidden echoes, of unexplained moments, and of mysteries waiting to be discovered. And who knows, maybe the next time it happens you'll find that the echo is not so mysterious after all, but a small window into the vastness of existence.